Let's see, wait to come to life here. And it looks like we are coming to life here again. As promised, twitch.tv/conspiracy horsemen, 3 strong. For your Light the Fuse AEW Dynamite review, and you thought it was all a dream. We used to read Word Up magazine. Chris Silvio and Kamikaze Kid up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall every Saturday. DCW, Rap Attack, Mr. Magic Marley Marl, and Rip Rogers, and everybody else who was in my life at the time. But right now, we're in your life here at hackerhamin.podbean.com with the Light the Fuse podcast, AE Dynamite review, MSG, Chris Silvio, Hacker Hamin, YOLO.
We're in your life, bitches, according to the legendary Hamin. So for the sake of our viewers that are watching this on video, if you notice, I've got my Afrin nasal spray. I got my throat spray. I sound like shit today. I'm sick as a dog, but I still don't miss a shot, and I damn sure don't miss bar wrestling. What's up, boys? How you doing, Hamin? How you doing, MSG?
Good, man. Belly up to the bar tonight and take a shot of that whiskey, bro. That'll knock some of that shit right out of you. I'm telling you, dude. Just a little bit will clear your chest up. Maybe even a little bit. I don't think you're working or anything too hard tonight. Hopefully not doing anything too crazy, but that'll open you up. You know what? When I was feeling like shit, and this isn't my remedy for anybody, but there's these kettle cooked chips that were horseradish and cheddar. Dude, this wasn't some bullshit like chip from the store. Like it was like a artisanal brand. I got like 4 chips in, man. My fucking nostrils were rocked open. Like it was like somebody was putting searing hot pokers in my nose, but I could breathe almost instantly after that. So if you can stomach some horseradish, that might be the thing too to get you open if you need to breathe real quick tonight.
That fucking horseradish is no joke. And I apologize, listeners, if you hear me hacking away. I'm gonna sound like shit, but deal with it because I'm here for you guys.
Wasabi, take a big hit of wasabi.
I was gonna say wasabi. Yeah, I love wasabi.
That'll open your tits up real quick. He's got his hair pulled back. He's corporate. He's back from his big expose rendezvous in Las Vegas. Rehydrating. He's on Ensure. He's on protein bars, Ico Pro, whatever Blue Chew he can get his hands on just to see if the thing's still working. It's like a old leathery belt at this point, but he's back. It's MSG, you guys. Matt Schaffer, 12 gauge.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, gentlemen. I appreciate, there might have been some information that you guys made privy to the public. I've been contacted about a dozen different times. So first off, thanks for contacting me and listening to Light the Fuse with Ben Hamin and Chris Silvio and myself. So appreciate it there. Look, in entertainment industries and contests, whatever it is, when you win something, there's generally things you can and cannot say. There's generally NDAs that you have to go through. So I don't want to get myself in trouble, get Hami Media in trouble. But let's just say I am feeling good. I'm back. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm feeling like Joe Jan after Night with ODB, and I am ready to talk with my guys here about some AEW Dynamite. Nice. So, yeah, thanks for having me back, guys. I appreciate it.
Welcome. I know you can't kiss and tell, but I just have one question.
Yeah, what's that?
Did you light that fuse?
All night.
All right.
All night long.
He wet the wick and he lit the fuse, you guys.
That's right.
He's a giver and a taker. He's a generous lover. Matt Sheffer.
Good man he is.
He's a very generous lover. And we're gonna do it Mr. Lover style here for all you AEW lovers. Girl. We're coming off of a big pay-per-view, not just TV this week, you guys. So, a big TV show for them this week. But, I think there was a lot of people a little hot about some things, and we got to start it off right away, I think, with the tattoo, right? Like, this is the hottest, biggest talk of AEW is Cody's new American Nightmare Decepticon tattoo that really took away from the payoff of his long-term business and the storyline he'd been telling. And this is interesting to me. I have a couple theories on it. But I'd like to hear you guys and what you think about that. Were you shocked? What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, let's definitely talk about the pay-per-view. I haven't heard his voice in a little while. MSG, you haven't told me. I talked to Hamin. What's your opinion on the neck tattoo?
Yeah, so in regards to the AEW pay-per-view, I'll let you guys maybe go through some of your favorite matches because I did a review with Jargo on Saturday night called AEW Saturday Night. You can check it out right here on hackerhammy.podbean.com. It was a little shocking. I didn't even know that he was getting the tattoo. You know, it's not, I mean, while of course I interact with lots of people in the Hamin Media Group, I'm not even like following him like to that point where I knew he was getting one. So it was definitely shocking him coming out and having a large looking American Nightmare logo on the side of his neck. I don't know. I'm a little indifferent. Like, I'm not into tattoos personally. I don't have any tattoos. It's not something I ever see myself getting personally. But I've always thought if you're going to get a tattoo, you want to get it in an inconspicuous place, somewhere where you can hide up. That way, if you're in a situation, you know, you don't have to expose it. He seems to have kind of gone all in with his brand, it looks like, putting the giant tattoo on the side of his neck for everyone to see. Maybe not the best time to do it, though, right before you're about to get into this, climactic finish to an overall feud, as Mr. Hamin pointed out. It kind of took away from it because days later, no one's really even talking about the Cody MJF match. They're talking about the Cody tattoo.
Yeah, honestly, I don't give a shit if Cody got a tattoo. He can do
Exactly.
whatever the fuck he wants. He's a grown man. I'm not worried about what he looks like. But it was a little bit distracting. Like, okay, great, he has a tattoo, but you can't really help but look at it when he was on the screen, especially when you didn't know that it was coming. I don't know if you guys heard, Hamin, if you picked this up, MJF did a great promo on Dynamite
I did
this week, and he subtly threw in the tattoo being a distraction. So that was a cool little line. No, the pay-per-view was pretty damn good. I think the best match, obviously, is that tag match that the world is raving about. I like the story behind Cody and MJF. I mean, you might agree with me here. I think maybe what hurt Cody and MJF the most is the fact that they didn't work together previously, and they didn't have like house show loops to really perfect everything in their chemistry together. So they did this long feud and build, and they'd never really worked with each other before to get their timing down. So I think
then they should have been practicing that, bro. Then that's them thinking they're over.
Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Absolutely. I like the MJF little dig at the end of the promo because it was that. Here's my take on it, because I it makes me worry about Cody a little bit because he's built all this. And does this say in some Freudians or psychological id that this was time for MJF to get made, but the tattoo takes away from that. So even though MJF goes over, it's still about Cody to some degree. And he's an executive vice president who's got to go on all these PR things with his beautiful wife. And now he's got a tattoo that sticks up above his shirt collar and all this, right? And if it's a neck tattoo, you're usually going to get your whole neck done. So now this feels like some weird cry for help, and it's Decepticon with an American flag. So he's like marking for the American Nightmare thing, living the gimmick in some Teddy Hart kind of way, which
that's a little bit of a stretch.
Teddy Hart puts glitter and shit in his hair and sequence things. He doesn't have a big heart on his neck, does he? That's pretty. That's even not yet. I mean, he may get one, but it's along those lines. And American flag, sure, you don't need to be a soldier, but that's kind of a reserved thing for that a little bit. You know what I mean? No one like goes, sure. Cody, real American. Yeah, brother. Like American Dream. I get it. I get all that. You know what I mean? He was the American Dream, American Nightmare. It's the homage. And like the double entendre is not lost on me. But on your neck, dude, didn't ask his wife, asked Tony Khan.
You know he got some heat at home for that.
Dude, like, that could be a divorceable offense, Like, and if that's a brand, if that's your brand and your wife's the branding manager and you're an executive vice president you know, you don't see the executive vice presidents at Johnson & Johnson all getting fucking pill tattoos on their fucking face for uniformity and shit.
What are you talking about? I saw Jeff Bezos just get a tattoo of the Amazon logo on the back of his head.
Yeah, like the actual map of the Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like fucking, it does look like you're a mark for yourself, and like you're not. Like all those things combined make me worry about Cody's mental health of where his head's at, bro, and that he doesn't have people around him, like even Dustin or whoever was with him, unless he just did it to blow off steam one night. I don't know, dude. Like I don't like that look all the way around here, and it has me a little worried.
I mean, I think sometimes you take things a little too far and you create grand spectacles, which is what makes you such a phenomenal worker and why I love talking wrestling with you. I think Cody's enjoying his life right now. He's probably stressed, running a fucking big company, but he's having fun. He gets to be a star. He's running his own company. He works with his wife. Things seem to be, at least outwardly, going well for him in the company. So I'm not sure if I would relate, like, with it being a cry for help kind of thing. I'm not sure why he did it. Maybe he's just a little confused, or he thought it would be sweet. I don't fucking know. But I'd like to think Cody's pretty happy in his current spot.
Like I would say, like, I could see the counter argument playing music. You know, I'm sure you guys have met multiple musicians where like they get tatted up everywhere because they're not giving themselves an excuse to go do anything else. So I get that argument, but Cody Rhodes, he doesn't need to do that. Like he's beyond that. I have to be a wrestler forever, and this is my life, and I'm going to be in that ring. Like he's transcended that point as far as himself as a celebrity status, where he doesn't have to do that. And you know, let's be honest, he's a white meat babyface. He's a good-looking white guy, blonde hair. He doesn't need to look like this edgy punk rocker guy that he's just trying to become a star. He's already the star with how he looks.
So what does that say? What does that say? Right? That shows a lack of something, or something is missing, and he's trying to fill that void, and it's a vanity thing, a shock value thing. If he did keep it from her, like that says something else. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm just saying what I'm seeing, you know?
I will agree with you there. It's maybe shock value, maybe vanity. But also, as Jenna Van Muscles pointed out, he has the money to get it removed. So,
well, there's a GoFundMe. They started a GoFundMe right after Cornette donated $5. Still,
hey,
go ahead, buddy.
What did you think? I mean, we haven't discussed the pay-per-view yet. Overall, I really liked it. There were a couple areas where I felt it wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be, but the shining light of that was Hangman Page once again, and that tag team title match that I thought was flawless. What'd you think of the tag match?
He got made. It was damn good. Matt Jackson, he was as good as Matt Jackson made him. You know what I mean? I almost like Matt's performance better than Page's, because one wouldn't have happened without the other. I always like the setup on the pitch a little bit more than the home run. That was excellent, and I can't hate on it. A couple things that are going to be no sold-esque where we're back up, but that's their flavor. And I really liked Hager and Dustin to open, because I had a very similar match versus Joe. I mean, not same size, but similar stakes. His wife's at ringside. Joe's mom's at ringside. MMA guy, wrestler. Like, you know, there's just some things there and it was a brawl. What I didn't like in that Dustin thing, though, if we've got the SJW crowd who, whatever, they do the big makeout thing with Hager and the wife in the beginning to make you uncomfortable. And then Dustin comes over and does it to her. So that's it with those guys. That's super sexual assault. Dustin's going to jail. How dare you? #MeToo movement. Like, all that shit they believe in one hand, they're willing to cast aside and be hypocrites about to do a spot for the wrestler and their mark audience that would fucking freak out if a random man came up and kissed somebody else's fucking wife. Will sell for that because they couldn't go against their own grain of how we set things up. Oh, it's just wrestling. That's fine. That's fine there. It's fine. But over here, we don't do that. I love that. I love when they catch their balls in a bear trap of hypocrisy like that.
I did think about that, bro, and I was wondering if there would be a backlash from that. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything. As far as that match,
the tattoo knocked that off the radar. Go ahead.
They weren't even fucking thinking about it. And MJF's fucking juice job of the century.
Yeah.
But no, the Hager and Dustin match, pretty solid. I like Hager's new look. He's out of the singlet. He's got a beard. He's in black. He's wearing those like MMA type of trunks. I thought he looked great. The only thing I didn't like about it was the finish he used. It's one of those moves that's actually devastating and can fuck you up, but it doesn't really translate as well in the world of professional wrestling because it's not big. You couldn't really tell what he was doing to Dustin, and then the finish just kind of happened. That's an arm triangle that'll knock you out.
That's how I did. So with Pimentel,
this looked weird.
Yeah, he's doing a standing arm choke, arm and neck choke, which he did on TV to get it over, but it wasn't established before the pay-per-view, which is why
that was
you're
the
like,
first time we saw it.
Right, where you're kind of like, oh, what the fuck? So it would have worked better if it had been established. But and it is in his MMA career because that's how he beat the two slobs that he didn't knee in the balls, but whatever.
Like, it's real. It makes sense. It just didn't translate.
It's a standing Darce choke. It'll fucking choke you out. There's no doubt. But with Pimentel, after I had knocked him out on that choke slam and get him with the world's shittiest sharpshooter, in this match I had with him, there's the wooden WCW ramp, like that fair in Kentucky we used to work, that fairgrounds and shit. So I take him out there. And, I fucking
Ashland, maybe?
Yes, Ashland. The county fair. I took a bump on that. It was terrible. And so I put him out there and I go to give him the choke slam again. He fucking leg over, gets me in the triangle. Down I go. I'm scrambling, and I knew I was going to go off the ramp, but I thought it was going to be later. I was way closer. Off my big ass goes, fucking bash the thigh into the wood on the corner, and then he could redo the choke, and he, as a green worker and a shoot MMA fighter, puts me in a shoot triangle and fucking locks his legs, and I'm like going, and I can't tap out because I'm just supposed to pass out so he doesn't ever tap me. And I go out kind of the same way. Now, the ref, this is why I wanted to ask your opinion. My ref, Sideburns, goes, I ask him, I go, what'd you think? He's like, oh, it's good, man. He goes, you probably could have gone out a little earlier than what you did before you passed out. And I felt that I was taking the right amount of time there. Now, I watch AEW the next morning. This match is similar in a lot of ways to mine and Joe's. And then they do the same fucking finish, but in a different spot. And I thought Dustin went out too fast and his legs weren't jello and down. When Joe let me go out of the triangle, I had to fall to the floor and I hit like a fucking sack of shit. Dustin was still like on his knees and strong, but he's out. You know what I mean? So I said to Mass, fuck you. I think I took long enough, and I liked it a little bit more how we did it than how they did it. Maybe somewhere in between. But one more thing on that. I remember when we were at Six Flags on Insurgency and Foley was the timekeeper, and then he comes in and hits everybody with the fucking Snabit's Claw, and fucking he goes to me, he goes, go down, go out. And he goes, stop moving. He wanted me dead right away. So what I feel, what I saw, and what I've been told by someone who's way more over than I'll ever be in this fucking business, it's a mix in my mind, a blender of what works there. I wanted your opinion on what you think, dude.
Yeah, I just think it mainly because the fans had never seen it.
Yeah.
A combination of the way Dustin sold it and how the hold looked. I don't think anybody expected that to be the finish. It just looked like he was clamping a hold on him to go to do something else. And you couldn't really tell what it was doing or hurting, and then the match just kind of abruptly ended. They did it on TV this week, which we'll talk about later, and it looked a little bit better on camera this week. I'm still not in love with the hold, but now that they've educated the audience on what it is and what it does, I think he'll be able to get away with it now. But seeing it for the first time, it didn't look spectacular. It's one of those things that, can hurt like hell, but doesn't really look like too much.
Yeah, it's not that sexy, but definitely believable if he puts you in. I mean, it's as real as the Master Lock is. It's are you gonna sell for it or not, and be put out? Anything can be a finisher. You just got to fucking sell it. You know.
Hey, I'm gonna eat some crow today too. I mean, you ready for that?
Holy shit! I can't wait for you to shove some "I told you so"s in your fucking face.
Yeah.
It's rare.
So we put over the tag match. We've mentioned Cody and MJF's match, which I like the story behind that. We talked about Orange Cassidy versus Pac, what they were gonna
Oof,
do,
that was.
why they booked the matchup,
Hamin got so
and
mad he bit his lip and bled everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I said the only way they could get away with doing the match was if he just went in there and ripped Orange Cassidy apart, which is what I thought should have happened going into the match.
Should have been 90
However,
seconds.
they didn't do that. They had a fairly competitive match. Orange Cassidy did a bunch of shit and he got over and they somehow made it work. I know it wasn't necessarily your cup of tea, Hamin, and I had a little odd feeling with it myself, but they didn't do the match I thought they should, and Orange Cassidy got over, and it translated to Wednesday night.
Orange Cassidy was already over. Orange Cassidy doesn't need to get over as a wrestler. Orange Cassidy only needs to wrestle when it's the most important time. This was not the most important time at all. Orange Cassidy now has blown his spot of showing everybody that he can wrestle with no stakes. And is it cute and cool and all that? Yeah. Is Orange Cassidy gone from being over 90% and over 92%? Yeah. But did Pac? Where's Pac? Pac went from a 95% heel to a 70% motherfucker, in my opinion, at this point, dude. Anybody can fucking go with Pac now. Pac can beat everybody. And Orange Cassidy hits the motherfucker with the big gimmick, Superman punch. He sells to the ropes, dead. Then Pac, he comes to get Pac real quick. Pac comes to life. No, he comes to get Pac like he's going to set him up for whatever, whatever you would do there. And then Pac comes to life, gets him in a fucking Michinoku driver set up, reverse out of that into the fucking finish on another big fucking thing on Pac.
Yeah.
No. So what they wanted to do with the cutesy and let's blow the fucking spot of for us, and this won't make sense to anybody. Look how long we built Lumpy Magoo before he drank grape drink to fucking hulk up and get one slam. That was a year. That was a fucking year's worth of work from the time he did interviews where he was clueless, saying racist things, but you couldn't do it because he was so innocent, all the way to getting heat to where he had to with Theta Lambda Psi and all through that shit to where the black dudes with the fucking Popeye spinach gimmick came and fucking got him. He drank the grape drink one time and got one slam, and the place lost their motherfucking mind. They blew this shit in fucking 3 months, dude. And they could have had what I just described, but you and I know and our audience won't, and what that build was. They could have had that to a stratosphere level. And, dude, they lowered Pac. This match did nothing but lower Pac's stock price.
Matt, I want you to weigh in on this. With the biggest problem I had with that match was just in the finish, how Pac kind of had to slip over on him. The Lucha Brothers came out, and there was a big schmoz with them and Trent and Chucky T. So Pac kind of caught Cassidy while his back was turned. I don't think the Pac character needed that. I think he should have went over, and he should have went over strong. If they wanted to do that little spot to set up the distraction, fine. Maybe he goes for something, Orange counters it into like a schoolboy, almost has him, then Pac kills him for the finish. I think they could have done a little bit less Orange offense in that and had him sell more. Then the crowd would have went even more crazy and been into it even more when he hit the moves. I'm not sure why they pulled the trigger on it, but it worked. He got over, and I'll eat my crow today. Matt, what did you think of that match?
Yeah, the match I didn't necessarily have too much of a problem with. I mean, because for the most part, Pac did dominate the match itself. They tried to, of course, give Orange Cassidy some of the high spots. As that spots happened, I was texting Ben, and all I was thinking about was Ben saying in the past, sometimes you shouldn't leave your feet. And I didn't think Orange Cassidy should have left his feet. I don't think he should have done a Superman punch. Don't think he should have jumped off the top and landed a DDT, right? I think if there had maybe been some locks or traditional, punches, kicks, I think we would have all been okay with that. But I think they kind of just elevated his moveset, to a different stratus that we hadn't even been built up for, right? They literally took us from 0 to 100.
Yeah, here what you did, you went from I'm a fucking caterpillar to a butterfly,
right?
Like that. Fucking, this guy is a personality, a character, he has a specific spot on the show. You know it's coming, but you don't know when it's coming or what it's going to be. It's the Cracker Jack, what's the surprise at the fucking bottom? And it's Orange Cassidy's spot that popped me. Yay, I like the joke. Now he's a fucking full-fledged roster wrestler who has to have matches because he just went against the top fucking heel worker who's the workhorse of the company who can out-wrestle everybody, and the fucking hands in the pockets goof personality just went 50-50 with him. And everybody's fucking stupid for booking that, for agreeing to it, and they just lowered everybody's price with it, man. It never should have been on the card. Never.
It sounded like you just said Rasta wrestler, as in like Bob Marley. And then you were trying to say
well, I shot the fucking sheriff, and I just might shoot the deputy if they fucking keep doing that shit because it's fucking wrong.
Damn right. Get up, stand up for your rights.
That's right.
I think Pac was being a good brother that night. He was in a giving mood. Honestly, man, it did hurt for the night, Pac, a little bit, but in the long run, I think we'll be okay. I think everyone will recover, and I think they'll both be just fine.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's going to be forgotten about. It'll be nothing and meaningless, and I hate that shit, especially when you got two made properties. Find something fucking better to do. That's lazy.
Right. I would say even from a writing standpoint, you know, you talk about story a lot, right? You want different wrestlers to have their ongoing arc, the storylines, and have them collide and come together. And they really didn't do that. They literally just took two characters from two different movies and put them together.
Yep.
And put it in. Yeah. So let's talk about some other news here, Chris. You had sent us a plethora of different things here. Yeah. I want to start off with this one. This is we kind of talked about it here in our own chat room the last week. So we saw these Walmart guys, right? And you talked about this last week. You've talked about it a couple of weeks on the show without me here about some of the guys and doing the super moves inside the Walmart, the Canadian destroyers, whatever, the Spanish flies, and apparently Superhuman mimicked one of his moves inside of a Walmart. The Walmart guys were like, "You're biting on my shit." And then Joey Janela was like, "Well, bro, I got a venue for you." And it looks like now the Walmart dudes are going to be announced for Joey Janela's Spring Break 4. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. So everybody that's listening knows how I feel about that. But now, man, I got to be honest. I got a little heat with Joey Janela. I usually don't care about shit like this. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that'll scream at the clouds. You guys know I'm pretty chill. I'm accepting. I appreciate innovation, creativity, but I don't like the Walmart shit for a variety of reasons. One being that it's highly fucking dangerous and it's going to encourage stupid behavior. And outside of that, it's illegal. They're vandalizing and breaking shit, in a fucking Walmart. I think it's a bad move by Joey. Joey, if you're listening, I like your work, man. But I think this is a bad move as a booker. That's the kind of thing that has no longevity. Once the fan, if they buy a ticket to see it, which they don't have to because you can see it for free online, that's the kind of act that you see one time and then it's done. So I think putting them on a show is almost like a Jerry Springer-esque like freak show kind of thing. And it just doesn't feel right to me. Like I said, I usually don't mind this kind of thing, but inside, something about the whole Walmart thing and them getting booked and Janela putting them over, it just feels wrong. And, I don't like it. I don't know why Joey's doing what he did. There's no longevity to these guys. It's kind of a pointless act. And even if they were to have a match on the show, they don't know anything. So after they do their Canadian Destroyer, their body language and the rest of the match is going to be rotten. Well, wrestling fans invented a chant a few years ago that's "you can't wrestle." So what the fuck? They're not. The super fans are the ones that would be seeing this guy. So if they see them in the ring and they're fucking rotten, the super fan's going to be the first one to point out how much they suck. So I don't think there's any way to win by having those guys on any kind of show. I don't like it.
Yeah, before I let you jump in, Ben, I was going to just counter argument a point you made about being, kind of a one-off type of thing. Isn't Joey Janela's shtick, his whole federation, whatever it is, GCW, isn't it kind of a one-off kind of a show? I mean, you've got Invisible Men fighting on it.
Yeah, it's a fuck you to wrestling.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And it's a niche market, but those
Right.
fans who are super fans will say, fuck this guy and that guy, Osprey's the fucking man, will also be at this Joey Janela show because they're mark cocksuckers who want to be super smarks, who get this little elite thing, and the viral part of it is say, yeah, we were there when the Walmart guys were there, and they're all going to fucking pop on the Canadian Destroyer and the Spanish Fly, and then fucking... Super Bad's gonna come out and go whoop whoop, jump on a fucking microwave, take it home, and they're all gonna fucking be over, and this shit gets normalized because Joey Janela's doing the freak show sideshow thing, but the internet's a freak show sideshow. Joey Janela's been shitting on AEW because they already fucked up his creative with the chick he was banging and her new boyfriend. So what's left for him is this kind of weird scumbag sideshow shit, but it's got people talking because the internet is bigger than TV.
Do I have to do something stupid now, guys, to get famous? Like, I feel like this is the only way to get famous now in 2020.
You got to release these tapes. All these fucking...
You know what this feels like to me, Hamin? This feels like if you saw a child that had a gun. Maybe they're not threatening themselves or someone else, but you know a child has a gun.
I love that gun. I'm looking for that gun for 3 years.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the gun away or alerting the authorities, you encourage the child to keep the gun. Like, that's kind of how I feel Joey is with these Walmart guys. Like, he was in a position to put an end to it, but all he's doing is encouraging it, and I don't think it's good for the business in any way.
It's good for his business.
Yeah, dude.
I don't think it is. I will argue that it's not. I think the same amount of people would come to his show regardless of whether they were on it or not.
Who's gonna have possibly the most views out of anybody WrestleMania weekend?
What do you mean, like on YouTube and stuff?
Viral, all that shit. The viral.
I don't know.
These guys in Walmart probably got, I got to imagine, 70 million views by now. Right?
Yeah. These guys are raking in views, and if they're gonna use Superhuman, which they've already used before, right?
If you're to add up every Monday Night Raw, that's 104 million views. One video's got 3/4 of the year of what Monday Night Raw has. All you got to do is get these fucking stupid bastards who want to shine, pay them $500 each, sign a fucking waiver, and they're going to go viral again. Joey's just a slumlord. He's dealing fucking the lowest bottom trash to the fucking slums of the internet of wrestling fans who want to see a fucking freak show car crash. You don't give a fuck about these guys. You talk Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. This is Mad Dog 2020 flavor ice cream. It's licking the fucking inside of the dumpster. It tastes like your fucking grandma's asshole, but it's still available to you if you fucking want to see it. And chances are you're not going to turn away from the car crash. You're not gonna. And Joey knows that. So if it's fucking grandma getting fisted, that's what the fuck is going to be on the goddamn on the show, and they'll pay for it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think these guys willingly pay to go to sausage fests. So, I mean, they're willing to pay for anything, right?
Whatever. They wear a fucking Scooby-Doo costume. They can all fucking go jump off the bridge.
Walmart fisting is next.
That's it. Sorry, I had one.
We got some more news.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did you want to?
Oh, I saw Silvio. He said he was eating some crow today, so I was going to run right down his list from the heater discussion. Beth gets RKO'd. Spears and Tully talent search. MJF flicks off a 7-year-old. Nyla clowns reporter. Ricochet Heat and Hardy officially a free agent. So
I thought you were going to go into the Ricochet thing with the fisting.
You're not right, MSG. You're fucking one to talk, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, I am. I am one to talk.
Yeah. He's got experience now.
Silvio, as far as where do you want to start? What's your hottest thing? What's the thing that's got you grinding your gears right now?
Grinding my gears, number one, was the Walmart thing. The other stuff I think are just more other things are just more interesting talking points. But let's start from the top. I'm a list-oriented guy. Let's talk about RKO from Orton to Beth Phoenix. So I heard about this segment, and somebody that was watching it was telling me that it wasn't very good. So I didn't really have high hopes for it. Then I was on YouTube and I came across a video from another wrestling journalist that was saying how great the segment was. So I watched it, and I kind of fell in the middle of that. So if you didn't see it, basically what happens is Beth comes out to say, give an update on Edge's condition. Randy Orton comes out and confronts her. He says some shit to Beth. She ends up crying. She kicks him, and then he RKOs her, and everybody rushes in. They make a big deal out of it. Things I didn't like about it, though, and we saw a little bit of this on AEW as well, is I really don't like the promos when two people have a mic and one person just talks the entire time and the other person acts like they can't retort. Like, what kind of conversation is that?
Yeah.
So we never heard what's going on with Edge, which was probably the plan, but Beth didn't say anything for 5 minutes while Randy spoke. And then they had, everybody rush out. They quieted the commentators, which is cool to try to make it look real. But when they came back up from the desk, the commentators were doing that low, oh my God, what we just seen was terrible voice. Like, you could tell it was so fucking contrived and bad acting.
That was the worst part of it. And even Lawler didn't want to sell it, really. It wasn't even that. They went to him. If it was really that, they would have stayed with him. And if it was really real, you bring the Major brothers were there, like, squatted down. Oh, Beth. And they both had Edge shirts on. That's all they've done to tie the fucking fake edges to them. Dude, fucking Ryder should have come out House of Fire. Fucking been on Randy, fuck you, bong, 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 bong. Mm-hmm. And then even Hawkins pulls him off and fucking because he wants a fucking piece of him too, and they're trying to kick the fuck out of him, right? And Randy's got to escape. Christian comes down, checks on Beth, whatever the fuck, to set up for next week. Like, I would.
What if you?
The Major brothers should be livid, and they're just tying these things. It's all so incremental, week to week. This week we'll do Beth, we'll do Matt, then we'll do Beth, and then we'll do Christian, and then we'll do Ryder and Hawkins, and then we can bring them back 1 week before. And look, we kept them off TV the whole time. We're so good at this. Like, that's how they're fucking actually put this shit together instead of like a real, dude, this is my wrestling fam right here. I'll fucking murder for you, bitch. Like, there's none of that in here, dude. There's none of it.
I think it would have been cool if you saw like a cameraman kind of hustling and then they abruptly set the camera down on the apron and it's just like laying there like in a movie when somebody's got a camcorder and they fall like in a horror movie.
Sure.
And then it just has that weird like side shot for a while and you see the cameraman go into the ring, leaving his camera behind.
Absolutely.
Maybe they cut to a hard cam shot. Everyone's dead silent.
Maybe
it was a pretty good segment.
Maybe the cameraman dives in and fucking shoves Orton. Well, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like that. So
the commentary killed it. That's it.
Orton's promo was great because he's telling truths about himself. Him being on pills, him like being self-destructive, whatever, that came across genuine. Beth having to sit there and do the fucking crying face the whole time wasn't. I do like banter back and forth. We did need something there where he leads her to get an answer, but then he can continue on. That's just, Randy got to do his thing. There's no way they could write for him. That's way above their writing acumen. They're at dog food and shit still. Randy's talking about pill addiction and suicide covertly, and Edge is the one that fucking pulled him out. Okay, but when we come to the action, so fucking phony, bro.
Yeah, I mean, when I watch WWE, I look at it almost kind of like a children's show now on a week-to-week basis. You start off with your protagonist at the beginning of the show. It wraps up by the end, and everybody just goes home happy. And so you
but they usually don't go home happy. They usually go home happy.
That's 8-man tag, 6-man tag that is meaningless afterwards. Go ahead. No, this is AEW. Fuck WWE.
Shout out to Sonic the Hedgehog and Fudge420 for dropping by in the Twitch chat room with us. I mean, I don't really watch WWE too much. I saw the clips. I thought it was cool. I mean, it was vintage, not to use Michael Cole's catchphrase, Randy Orton, something that I would expect to see from a Randy Orton, not give a fuck, right? Let's talk about Ricochet, though. I mean, I saw this post, and I know what you're talking about, too. Apparently, Ricochet's got some heat, apparently, in the locker room, considering coming off the fact that he hasn't been necessarily pushed to a bigger status since he's been elevated to the main roster.
What's the heat, though? What's the heat?
That's what I was going to ask Silvio, because he posted the news. What do you see is the heat here, Silvio?
I don't think there's any heat.
Okay.
I think it's a fucking conspiracy horseman.
Oh, gotcha.
There's no fucking heat to it. He's going in there and he's being a utility player. He's doing whatever they ask to the best of his abilities. He hasn't been booked very well. He's lost a lot of matches and his star power has dropped quite a bit. I can't see, unless he said something completely out of his character as a human being, I can't see him having any real heat for being a team player. So I think, he like kind of shed some tears or something after he lost to Riddick Moss. I think his acting in that segment made people make more out of it than it actually was. I think he's just been a utility guy placed in an unfortunate circumstance. And that happens to a lot of guys on their program, and they get a nice little run for a few weeks, and then that's it. They cool them off. I'm not sure why it's done that way.
Because Vince gets tired of playing. Vince gets tired of playing with his toys. Stevie and I just talked about this.
I was going to say this, yeah.
So that's just it. Like, if he's got bad promos, he sucks at promos, that's going to work against him. He's young, sexy, athletic, right in the time of Wakanda Forever, that whole look, it's perfect. Like modern Avengers type shit. But Vince don't know fucking Marvel and Avengers. That's the way somebody has to tell him about that. And then once it's done, he don't fucking know. Just like they didn't have Batista in when they should have last year for the fucking pump the whole movie. They're idiots. So whatever, finger your butthole and get go under for Brock and do business. That's all good stuff. Then to lose to Riddick Moss, that's the barrier. Now we've switched something. They want to take him down because William Alessia posted in Hamin Media Group, plans are to turn him heel and be feeder so he can be the fuck you to the crowd or whatever. That might work. I could see him as a better heel because his babyface, his promos are rotten. And he's not going to get over that way, and wrestling's not going to get him over because we already given it all away with every flip there is under the sun. There's nothing left to see. So this is going to be a big test if he does turn heel to do that. I don't think there's heat. Stevie talked about how when Balls Mahoney was over, dressed like a scumbag every day, just like you saw him in the ring. And Vince loved him for the Captain Caveman stuff, the Kelly stuff. And then one day Vince showed up and seen him fucking eating or something, just looked at him up and down and goes, who the hell's that? And Balls Mahoney, you've been writing for him for the last 3 months. He's fired. Gone that next week. So that's how quick Vince can get tired of playing with a toy and fucking cast him aside. Now, are there tests constantly and maybe he goes under and then he's boo-boo facing because they want to see how he's going to handle it, and then they'll drive him down further? That could be the case too. Not the fact that, he pissed on the toilet seat on the plane on the way home and didn't clean it up or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to think that based on the history of what we've seen, there is a lot of starting and stopping, right? Even Ryback has pointed out, I was listening to Eyes Up Here podcast with Francine, Russo brand, shout out. Mm-hmm. And he talked about, of course, the fact that Triple H told him that nobody is going to be elevated. Once you get to a certain status, you're going to be brought back down. So, I mean, Ricochet, I don't think has ever necessarily, gotten to any superstar status within WWE.
But look how they brought him in. They fucked
it
out of the gate because they wanted to put NXT over because they were selling for fucking AEW. So here's our AEW tie-in to get away from WWE. They're selling for AEW with NXT. Those two guys are over, Aleister Black and Ricochet, in two completely separate worlds. We're putting them together. It's Rick and Black, everybody. Look at, they can do all this crazy shit. And fucking, they ruined what they had going. They just converged those paths. And then even when they had the chance to bring them back, a month ago? They didn't, once again, when Aleister Black needed help and Ricochet needed it. They didn't, so they don't even care about their own pasts. So why should we? And we don't care about Ricochet because they hustled them to us after we were invested through NXT and they blew that off. There's nothing left there. The only thing that can help Aleister Black is if The Undertaker takes him under his wing to give him the rub. That's it too. He's died in the water. So
it just shows the disconnect between the brands, between Raw and between NXT and the continuity. Look, I don't want to be one of those come out and trash WWE guys. They've been around forever. Clearly, they're the fucking leaders. They revolutionized the business. We all know this. So I don't want to necessarily come on here and bash them because I couldn't write WWE's show. Like, a lot of people say they should do this, they should do that, and there are a lot of valid points, but I couldn't fucking write it, and there's very few people that could actually write this damn thing and make it good every week. With that said, they got to stop beating guys into the ground.
That's bullshit. Don't say that shit.
No, hang on.
You know that's bullshit. I know fucking 8 guys right now off the top of my head. You could split into 2 teams of 4 and could write everything from NXT to fucking SmackDown and the pay-per-views and the Saudi shows and Raw all across the board with no brand division, with storylines going across. I'm not even talking about like Russo, Stevie level. I'm talking about guys we came up with, 2CW guys, who could handle that and do it better than the team of 40 motherfuckers they got now being yes men for one guy who still doesn't get it and claims they write the show a year out. They're writing the show 7 hours out. It's
even
terrible.
If you brought those guys in, though, I mean, the point I'm making is they still got to go through the filter. So I think they're just stuck right now with this is the model that they want for their show. This is their outline. And it's always going to be a variation of that. Well, if that's the case, which I hope it's not, but that's what history has shown. If they could at least just stop beating guys into the ground, they could make the next star. Nobody ever really gets to win much. None of the babyfaces win for a long period of time. Neither do the heels. You win one week, you lose the next.
Triple H said no one will ever be bigger than the company ever again.
Right.
And that's what we've seen, whether it's Bray Wyatt, whatever happened with Cena becoming bigger, they were like enough. And I don't know why, because that's what
AEW is the opposite. Like, look what they've done with MJF. Look what they've done with John Moxley, with Cody, with Jericho.
Wow, that was the other thing, to go back to Cody. That was another big thing where people were like, the tattoo, that just ended a lot of opportunities for him, dude. He could have been in TV shows and acting. You're not going to be able to cover that up, dude. The cover up on that is not going to be real.
You don't think they could throw makeup on it?
Because he's going to have to get the rest of it done. So
what if he wears a turtleneck?
The only thing he's going to be able to get is Hallmark Channel movies where he wears a turtleneck at Christmas.
Yeah, or the dog and everything. He's got his Pharaoh dog and shit.
Or he's in jail, like that, or in a biker thing. Like he just took a lot of opportunity where he might have been able to get into this Avengers world away, and that also shows a lack of I don't know. Let's do AEW Dynamite. I'm starving already, and we got a long way to go.
All right. Did you want to talk about Nyla Rose?
Oh, shit.
Because it does relate to
ahead.
AEW. Yeah.
Does Silvio know this or no? Go ahead.
I don't know. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. So Nyla Rose had a recent press conference that they do with wrestling journalists. What if you call those?
It was post or pre pay-per-view.
I think it was post pay-per-view of Revolution. Fans were asking questions. Nick Hausman asked her a question in regards to the fact that what is the AEW women's division doing to elevate themselves, get them over better storylines, whatnot. And she basically went off on him, put him in his place, shut him down. And apparently later on, it was revealed that it was either staged or Tony Khan, eventually did answer his questions and whatnot and got the issue answered itself. But it was very interesting as a young, I'm not going to say journalist, but as somebody who's gone, through production school recently and got, learned about journalism, how he framed his question wasn't professional. It was like, well, hey, I'm just kind of wondering about this. So he was kind of like speaking to her like you would, like I'm speaking to you guys, like we're having like a friendly conversation, like we know each other, like there's chemistry. He didn't really approach it from a journalistic integrity standpoint. He approached it like a wrestling mark. I think
it was a quiet dig at the AEW women's division, Matt. Like we all know, we've talked about it. Everybody that follows wrestling knows right now their biggest area of opportunity, arguably, is in building that women's division. So I think it was a little tiny jab he took, but in a roundabout way. Like it wasn't really overt. But what I did like is Nyla calling him out, and I like seeing some of the heels being heels. Like the other bit that we saw this week, where MJF at the meet and greet flicked off the 7-year-old kid. Kid got upset. His dad talked to the company, but MJF was just being MJF. So I did like the fact that heels were being heels even in their interviews. So that's cool. I like that touch, and I don't know if it was a plan or not. I hope it wasn't, and I hope Nyla clowned him.
I mean, Nyla looked cool doing it for sure. Nick Hausman definitely looked like a huge dork. Ben?
No,
Did
he's
you
good.
see this?
He's good. He's good.
Oh, he's good. Okay. Well, then there we go, guys. Let's go ahead.
He's good, man. I mean, he was good. He was good with Bischoff till he blew that opportunity.
With Bret Hart?
He was good with Bret Hart till he blew that. He was good with Revolution Pro Wrestling till he blew that. He was good with AAW till he blew that. And now
he's good with this. He was good with his audience.
He was good with WrestleZone. He was good with his co-hosts until he burns bridges and fucks it up every time. He's great at getting business going, and then he is even better at fucking shitting all over it and leaving a trail of tears behind until his parents can come bail him out once again. He's the consummate man-child, and unfortunately, a test that has been failed many times. And if he got his foot in the door with AEW, they'll regret it.
Was that him? Was he the one that asked Nyla that question?
Might have been.
Yep.
Sounded like him.
It was definitely him. All right. Well, let's get into the AEW show. Before we do, though, if you're watching on Twitch, you may be noticing, I'm drinking something. I'm drinking this coffee, Ben. This coffee fucking sucks, bro. Like, is there any options available? What's going on? How can I get some better tasting coffee?
Well, I mean, it's as easy as going to the BROASTERS.com and getting the limited edition Russo Bro coffee that we just came out with. I'm actually might need another one myself here because I had one early, made it through the locker room, but I'm feeling myself calm down, a little less chatty. But that could be Silvio chilling me out too. But I was pumped to get to work with, obviously Dippin' Donuts and then another local business here with Hamin Media at Coffee Broasters on Twitter. If you can give them a follow, I'd appreciate that. And now, Broasters, Russo Bro, it was a match made. So Hamin Media off to the races, getting the deal done. And now we have a limited edition release, Vince Russo brand with Broasters, Russo Bro coffee. You can go to thebroasters.com, get it. You're going to like it. You're going to love it, actually, to be honest with you. Russo's crazy for it already. He went through the pound bag I sent him, and he was trying to work me yesterday to get him to send him more. So I got to go to Dippin' Donuts after we're done with this to pick up some swag from the Broasters that we're going to do as giveaways, too, because they were so pumped for the Russo brand loyalists who out of the gate, are buying it. And, once they try it, they're going to be repeat buyers, I know, because it's just awesome product. Same as Zordos olive oil, ultra premium products, artisan products from people who we're not just going out looking, anywhere for somebody to throw us some money. These are people I work with, our friends and supporters of our brands who own businesses and are bringing their product to the world. And I'm happy to support that. We're not just selling some Alex Jones iodine supplement shit here, so ZordosOliveOil.com, thebroasters.com for the Vince Russo brand coffee. Awesome for a collectible for just your wrestling shelf and to smell it. Or if you want some of the best fresh ground coffee, Nicaraguan blend, and it's roasted every week, ground every week, and shipped every week. So it's not sitting on the shelf like whatever you're buying at the store. All artisanal products, man. So pumped for Hamin Media to be able to get these opportunities, pebble in the pond, and bring something to market for our brand loyalists. That shit's awesome to me.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That's right, guys. So, again, you can go to broasters.com, thebroasters.com. Side effects are intense state of euphoria and saying bro over and over. Yeah. So, get yourself a bag of Russo Bro coffee. Yeah. All right, so let's talk AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite emanated this week from Broomfield, Colorado.
Nice.
I'm assuming that's somewhere around the Denver metropolitan area. I've been in Colorado, but I've never been to Broomfield myself. So we start off, coming off of the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. Let's talk some numbers, though, from last week's AEW Dynamite. They had 865,000 viewers. Now, while I've been gone, the week before they had 893,000, and the week before they had 817,000. So they have been fluctuating, kind of going up and down. Last night's competition included WWE, NXT, The Masked Singer, and I'm sure there was something else on primetime television I wasn't privy to. Their YouTube views, they had about 1.6 million views, with the highest being the shocking end to the Mox Jericho weigh-in last week. and the best friends continuing to climb the rankings was the lowest. Average ticket price, AEW Dynamite tonight, $128. So we start with Mox. He's in the ring, kind of celebrating. He's excited, kind of going over the fact that, he went through hell and back. He played with the devil himself, Chris Jericho. He got over on the inner circle. Now he's the champ. The championship belongs to him and the fans. He's going to be a fighting champion, and he's aware that him and Jericho are far from over. Basically throws down the challenge, says, come out, I'll take on any fighters. Jericho does come out. They kind of go back and forth. Jericho accuses Moxley of cheating because, he faked having an eye injury and then attacked them. And overall, it looks like here the scene is going to be set for this Jericho. It appeared the scene was going to be set for Jericho and Mox to continue the feud, but ultimately Jericho makes a proclamation that if he does not leave Mox laying at the end of the night, that he will leave for 60 days. Now, I know how this ends, of course. Now, I thought they did a good job as a viewer because I already knew coming into tonight that Jericho is leaving for a extended period of time.
Yeah.
Jargo pointed out the fact that he's going on tour with Fozzy. So because going into the end of the night now, I'm thinking, okay, they're setting this up for a way for Jericho to leave, and they didn't. So I thought this was a good promo. Now looking back in retrospect, it was a nice kind of like bait and switch.
Yeah, that's the high of it. They know their audience knows that. They keep an eye on the sheets. Jericho's leaving. So this is the setup. It's easy WWE. Oh, he's going to go. We know the finish. They bookend it the right way with the right business, beginning and end of the show, but they do the swerve. Jericho, it doesn't go that way. He isn't out for 2 months. I like the shit out of that fucking choice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As we get to that match, I think it was cool how they culminated everything, which I'm sure we'll get through as the show progresses. I like Moxley's promo much better than his post-match promo at the pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. That was rugged.
For some reason, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if he was just speaking as a human being. I don't know what Moxley's real name is, but let's say it's John Smith. I don't know if he was just speaking as the guy John Smith, like a heartfelt moment to the fans, or if for some reason he thought in that moment the John Moxley character almost needed to be a traditional pandering babyface.
I need to drink a beer. It's beer 30. Time for some whiskey.
But worse than that, man, is it didn't sound like Moxley. Like he said the thing about, I won this belt for you guys. He could have left it at that, but it was just a lot of for you, the fans. Everything I do is for you. It just didn't seem like the badass lunatic John Moxley character. But he said that stuff on Dynamite, but made it more in character. He added his inflection. He did his normal Moxley promo, so it worked. But he did this weird nice guy promo on Saturday. I'm not sure why.
That means your top performers aren't really top performers, dude, to me.
And also, and you brought that up before, man. Also with this segment, I love Jericho. I love Jericho on the mic. He's the fucking man. He's the GOAT. Only thing I didn't like about his interaction was, again, it was that thing where somebody talks for a long time and you don't retort. It kind of felt like a WWE segment to me, which take that as you will, but AEW makes great efforts to be completely different from WWE. That entire segment felt like something I would see on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little weird too. I mean, I get what AEW is trying to do. They're trying to continue down that post-match New Japan style, right? Where they have the guy who takes them off the air, cuts a promo with the crowd. Yeah. I don't think that should have been on television,
I like what Nick Aldis said this week. It's time to stop putting over all this Japan shit and put it on a pedestal. And that's exactly what AEW has done. And that's why their women's division sucks. And that's why they have people working wrong sides with each other. And we had 7 dives and fighting outside the ring for 7 segments on the pay-per-view because of this Japan worship bullshit where it's not a flavor of wrestling of like 31 flavors. It's wrong and killing wrestling, and then it normalizes it, and it's on TV. So coming soon to a Walmart near you, the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it was, like I was saying, it was a little weird that he did the post-match thing, and it was kind of like it almost felt a little out of character. I don't like this pandering bullshit from Mox. It's never really been his shtick. He's never really come out ever and been like, oh, you guys are the fans, and I love you, and I fucking hate that. I did this for you. whatever, dude. Like, you didn't do it for me, okay? I don't need you to say you did it for me. I just need you to present yourself in a believable manner. And the whole I'm playing to the crowd now, I don't know. It's
everything you do that's like a goal during the day, like when you go home and wash your dishes, I want you to tape it now and then send it to Moxley and tell them that you did the dishes for him. Like everything you do is for somebody else. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I think you should.
Ben, you brought up a good point about the dives and stuff. One thing about the pay-per-view that I think they can work on for the next show, they need to have somebody there to tell people what match does what.
Yep.
So in the first two matches and the main event, they did this crowd brawl. So really the very first match kind of started the same way as the very last match. And you have to, as a booker, you have to be conscious of this stuff to leave it for the main event. If Jericho and Moxley were going to do that brawl through the crowd, nobody should have fucking stepped foot behind that rail the entire night, because you got to leave it for them. I don't think anybody was watching to tell them. Sometimes that's what you got to do as a booker. You got to say, okay, guys, matches 1 through 4, keep it in the ring. Match 5, you get the dive. Match 6, you can go through the crowd. They needed somebody, because we did see a lot of repeated things, and I hope that on the next pay-per-view they clean that up.
That's why half of, my stuff when I'm doing my thing is different than everybody else's old school. Like, if 6 guys are going to fucking want to dive, I wouldn't even think about putting that shit in my match. You know what I mean? Here's a list of things I would never do to make myself different. Instead, 6 guys, more than 6 guys, minimum of 12, possibly to 18, don't think about that and how to make themselves unique, and everybody's just doing the same shit, so nobody means anything by that time. So
before we move on, I also wanted to point out, it looks like the venue that they chose tonight, the First Bake Center, based on the information I've looked up here, looks like here the First Bake Center can hold up to about 6,500 fans. After production, looks like it can hold out anywhere between 4,000 to 4,500. So it looked like there was about 3,000 to 4,000 fans. I'm sorry, there that night. I think it's maybe a smart move on AEW to try and maybe book smaller arenas than these large 16 to 20,000 arenas that they can't fill, right?
Yeah, Ben and I talked about that a few weeks ago on the show. That's where they need to go for now. Like, remember when Raw taped at the Manhattan Center? Like, that was perfect to build Raw. I think AEW needs to follow that. Pack those small venues, and it's just going to look great on camera.
Yep, and I also would like to see them do more of the variety venues, like that Jacksonville venue where it's outside and whatnot. Like, I want to see different visualization as far as a viewer. I think that adds the whole entertainment aspect rather than just seeing the typical ring lights.
That's interesting.
What you see,
because right before you came on, we were talking about 2CW and the owner Josh, who's a huge Dave Matthews fan. He's been to over 200 shows.
I can tell you Josh Arnett likes to smoke a little green with Dave Matthews, doesn't he?
I don't know. Josh isn't. He used to be a big drinker. He's not anymore. Okay. But what? It's the fact that he goes this one show, and I think it's It's called the Gorge, so it's not Red Rocks. What I was thinking of. The Gorge, the big venue out west. He goes all over. He was just in Mexico to see him everywhere. Like. But that's where I thought would be an awesome thing too, because Josh sends me those pictures of that Dave show from the Gorge. That's the visual they need that will separate them into like making a moment that'll last forever in the annals of wrestling history, not just AEW, but forever,
Bro, I'll go to Red Rocks to see AEW just because Red Rocks is a fucking awesome venue.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they need to think about doing something like that but can you get wrestling fans to converge on a place like that? That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, Dave Matthews can sell out 28,000 seats here 2 days back to back at CMAC and SPAC. Fucking no problem. 28,000, that's over. So that can they get enough to make it look good enough while getting the backdrops, or are there other venues, Lake Havasu, whatever the fuck it is, like, let's think outside the box. That's a good idea.
It would depend on the build and who they're selling.
True.
But for now, I would say the strategy would be sell out the small ones and build your way up. And when you're the hottest ticket in town, maybe that's when you can pack 28,000 people in.
Yeah, I mean, even like, you don't even necessarily even have to do a large venue. You could do more outside stuff, right? You could. I think they missed an opportunity to do Bash on the Beach on a beach. Like there's certain things they could be doing to make them look different from other professional wrestling promotions.
I mean, should we bring back Hog Wild, the event, not the man?
I don't know, the Sturgis thing. I would bring back the man and the event, but
Put Hog Wild on Hog Wild.
Yeah. God, Hog Wild always bothered me though with the motorcycles in the background.
You couldn't the wrestlers hate it too.
Yeah,
and they evidently hated the wrestling, and they would like throw shit at him.
Yeah, that's fine, but look at Hog Wild then. Who'd you have? Hogan, Savage, The Giant, Lex Luger, Buff Bagwell, Scott Steiner. Now run down all those bikers who might disrespect those guys who are massive dudes. Now here comes Omega, Orange Cassidy, fucking.
You don't think Marco Stunt can throw down, bro?
Yeah, dude. Like the bikers are gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?" I don't think that would work at all. Maybe you could tie off over into like skateboarding and X Games with Darby Allin. That's the way I would fucking go with it.
There you go.
But bikers would be fucking those guys in the outhouses for fun, just to say that they got a piece of Kenny Omega. Fuck that. All the V triggers in the world ain't gonna fucking save you there.
Yeah, maybe the only people that would fit in there would be the Blade and the Butcher, right?
Yeah, probably. Like that'd be about the only ones I could say where they actually look like men that would fucking fit in.
Golden Lovers.
Yeah.
Golden Lovers. So after that, we got our first match of the night. We've got SCU, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky coming out with Colt Cabana. They're taking on the Dark Order, Evil Uno, Grayson, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver. The 8-man tag, lots of action back and forth early on. SCU crushed Silver in the corner, hit a drop kick, covered for 2 count. Daniels jumped in, got a strike, jammed into the corner. These guys went back and forth. Conclusion near the end of the match, we saw Daniels leaping in, stomp, suicide dive on the Gray. Kazarian hit a cutter on Reynolds, went for cover, got broken up. Cabana came in, hit a moonsault on both guys. Cabana and Reynolds both were up on the top rope. Sky took out all 3 members of Dark Order, and the Cabana with the Chicago skyline picks up, and the Superman pin picks up the victory. So the winner of this match, SCU and Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana picks up his first ever victory on a debuting AEW Dynamite episode. Mr. Silvio, what did you think of this match?
Man, I've really been digging SCU recently. Something about the way that they work and the contrast between Scorpio and Kazarian. If I'm really not into the show, like I didn't feel that first segment too much. It's not that it was bad. I just wasn't necessarily feeling it. SCU pulled me right back into it just based on the way that they work. And it was nice to see Colt. He had a really good shine at the beginning. He was tight on everything. He got the win. The only thing in the match, though, like, I still have my hangups with Dark Order. I'm trying to work past it. But kind of like I yelled at Hamin the other week, like, you can't see past what you think is wrong to appreciate what's actually happening. I still can't get over the 2 dudes when they fucking come out without the mask and then they put it on to work. I tried, man. I try to be a nice guy about it, but I can't think of a single reason, not a one, how that makes any logical sense. I just can't do it, and it fucks me up.
How about JR trying to get over, that's Grayson, not Dick Grayson. Not Dick Grayson. Like, dude, doing like these old comic book fucking things to get it over. It's just like, Cabana shined here. Hometown guy. Good stuff. He looks good. One thing that was weird is he got the fucking suction cup things and had the big bruises on the fucking arm there. I was like, oh shit. And they put it over. I felt like, man, maybe I could use that too. My bursitis.
I was glad JR explained what the hell, or whoever, it was either Excalibur maybe, explained what it was. I keep seeing, I saw Bulletproof Blake Truth just do something like that too. And I keep seeing all these suction things. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. So I'm glad I finally got an explanation tonight.
Yeah, I could probably use it on my shoulder, man, up here, to be honest with you, but not before I go on TV. No, I'm going to have big, huge bruises on me like that. That was the weird thing to me.
Titty suck before you go out there.
Yeah,
Colt.
And but Cabana, Chicago skyline, I forgot about that fucking movie. It looks badass. Right. Yeah, right. It looks good. And then he gets his what's the wrestler from UK he emulates most of his stuff from, the old school guy?
Probably Johnny Saint.
Johnny Saint. The Johnny Saint pin is what I call it. He calls it Superman, all that. 90% of stuff is Big Daddy and Johnny Saint that Colt is taken and Americanized in his own way. But yeah, he got over and he signed. It's Colt Cabana. Boom, boom.
It was good to see Colt do that. You know, Colt, we've known for years. We were in the locker room with him for a while, and I booked him on some of my shows. I like Colt as a person. It's good at his age to see him getting, to do something high level. About the Dark Order, I'm interested, like I said last week, to find out who this fucking person is. I just want to know who it is and where they're going to go with it. But I'm still having issues getting into their matches. I'm not sure what it is, but something about the package is just off with me. In this match, the kids with the masks drove me nuts, but they at least bumped well, and they did pretty good. Like, it was a good opportunity for them, and I'm glad that they had this opportunity. Mm-hmm. But it's still just not sitting with me. I don't know if it's me or if you guys are on the same page, but something just still feels off.
You've had 3 months to get gear right and make it look right, and they're not. It looks like some indie shit they put on TV, and nobody knows what the fuck's going on, kind of a little bit. And those guys taking their masks off. We talked about that with the OVW Lana shit. Like, that again makes you look kind of like a mark for yourself, because you're not over as Grayson or whoever it is. Like, this is what's over. We have to get this over, not this whole big thing and you. Like, not you, you're special. You're part of the group, right? So
right.
That's
this doesn't make sense, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they.
And I'm not trying to put heat on that one guy. Someone is either telling him or not telling him. Maybe I am putting heat on him. Whatever. Like, you just got to know.
I'll put heat on him.
Yeah.
I think somebody's not telling them.
Not telling them.
Problem.
I think the issue is, and I'm just going to use this as an example, as a faction. They haven't had their Nexus moment. What the hell have they done to make me care as a viewer, or what kind of impact have they had on the roster itself to make the rest of the roster fear them?
Well, I mean, it's about the other things with Raven sitting in the back or whatever.
If it's Raven.
But now we have Jake Roberts, which was awesome. Like, Jake Roberts steals the show with Hail Caesar, and I'm not here to stroke your ego, kid. I'm here to eat your lunch, and that kind of shit, and some dusty shit, and like in and out, and even to say that I'm Jake Roberts, because people hadn't even been kicking around the name Jake Roberts really. So that Jake Roberts could have been the leader of this shit, and even like your manager Arn Anderson, what a one-trick pony, like fucking shitting on Arn, because if anybody could shit on Arn, and very few people can, it's Jake fucking Roberts, dude. Like, Arn's not going to come back and go, what are you going to call him, a drunk and a drug addict? Yeah, I fucking am, and I'm still a better wrestler than you. So what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? So that's absolutely true. Arn could never get over like Jake Roberts got over as a solo guy or deliver a promo. So this, to me, I was like, fuck yeah. And I've been in the locker room plenty with Jake when he's half in the bag and it's not a pretty scene and it's not the guy you want him to be. And then I've seen him in better shape, and he is a lot better. But, like, this had me actually intrigued, and he's not even the top guy. So who's an evil motherfucker above Jake Roberts?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got some stuff to add when
is
we
it
go
going to
over
be
the
DDP?
Jake segment.
Is it going to be
But
DDP?
it was a great promo.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to kind of I guess you might say, an enhancement match. I knew that it's sad that I know what enhancement talent is now when I see the librarians out there. And we're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a quick match. We got Big Swole taking on Leva Bates. Britt Baker joined on commentary, which, again, with the length of this match being 3 to 4 minutes, I guess the point was to get her over because, she kind of got lost in translation, Britt Baker on commentary, because the match was so short, so there wasn't enough time to develop anything with her there on commentary. But I mean, Big Swole wins this match. Like I said, this is a quick enhancement talent match. Big Swole picks up the victory, and then Britt Baker leaves. So what did you think of all this, Mr. Sill?
I'm going to try to be as nice as I can on this because you guys know I support AEW. I'm behind those guys 100%. I hope they change the world. But this match, man, this segment, first off, it started pretty good, but we just had one of the most awkward moments that you could ever have in a match, where I don't know if Leva forgot she was supposed to run. That's what it looked like to me, or they had some kind of miscue.
She goes over and gets her like on the side.
Yeah,
it was so shitty,
over.
Bro. It's so
big.
They're so business exposing bad.
Yeah,
dude.
And Swole just kind of picked her up and dropped her. I think she was trying to do that Blue Thunder bomb, and maybe Leva was supposed to run into it.
Sure.
So then Swole just kind of picked her up and chucked her. And within 3 minutes, it was over. Britt didn't have enough time to get herself over on the mic. What that felt counterproductive to the AEW movement. That to me felt like when Raw used to give the women 4-minute matches. I wrote down in my notes, I hope there's another women's match, because if you're one of those people that's like fighting for women's matches, I think you probably would have been upset that that was the representation the women got last week. It wasn't a very good representation of the women or showing that they care about them. I know that they do, but that segment was a miss. I'm glad they put Swole over. She needed the win, but I wanted to see more. It just wasn't their finest hour.
If you can't get over in 4 minutes and you expose how rotten bad you are, probably shouldn't be on TV, kids. I get the reason why we got these girls. We got to get them on TV. We got to show our division. But those girls probably walked through that match no less than 30 times backstage. And for 4 minutes, they probably took an hour to an hour and 20 to walk through that match step by step. And as soon as the bell rings, 20 seconds in, we can't even go crisscross the right way to set up for a fucking move.
And it was glaring. It wasn't like a little tiny error. It was like...
They're rotten, bro. They're rotten. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, this definitely felt WWE-ish. I would even say a little bit with how AEW started off tonight with Mox cutting the promo, kind of felt a little WWE-ish. So I will, shout out to the professor who hosts the Pro Wrestling Reflection.
I will say Big Swole at least tries to get the character over and shit at the end.
Yeah, she's trying her best.
She's trying her best. I'm not going to just fucking be like, everyone sucks. They didn't do shit, because there's plenty of girls who are that bad. So she's trying, but when it comes to hire our friends and not the best performers, do a favor, and then let's get them on TV. Blue Pants was over as fucking NXT in small segments. This thing that they're trying to do here with Buddy jumps up, takes the bump. He looked good taking his fucking silly things. Yeah, taking his silly things. So they're trying to get it all in. I just know I did the show this weekend and I watched the girls because there were both pretty attractive girls out that were on the show in the women's match and both capable. One, I don't know if she was like in the lingerie bowl, because she does like the sports chick gimmick. She's got a hell of a body, dark hair, but comes out with like a shoulder pads, things on, but like sexy football lingerie bowl type shit. And I watched these girls put this match together. I was on 7 matches in right before intermission, and they fucking stood there and walked through it all. And then they went out there and did all this shit. Bop, 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 bing, bong, boom, bop. And the crowd didn't give a fuck. As soon as they stopped and did some girl stuff spot to get it in, they came back. But they want to wrestle instead of doing things the right way to get each other over. And the wrestling exposes them, because that's really their fundamentals are their weakest part of their game. And the second, and not because they're not trained, because they haven't had the in-ring time or been on the road everywhere and put in the reps. But now they're on TV, and you're seeing people who are worse than WWE developmental being on a mainstream TV show saying, we're the elite. Bro, you're the fucking preschool, and they're saying they're the best.
And it goes back to what we've talked about several times on this show, is that right now, like in America, the male talent pool is so much wider than the female talent pool. Like if you think about all the women that are out there on the scene, but that are already signed elsewhere, there are very few free agents that you could throw on TV tomorrow. And they also don't have developmental. So at the same time, like we say, we want them to get better and all these different things, but it really is a challenge, like of them finding these talents, because it's not a vast talent pool in America right now. And we've only had limited success using the Japanese women from Stardom or wherever they're from.
Yeah, I apologize. I wasn't necessarily trying to. I wasn't where I was even going to go with it. I wasn't going to say like they were treating the women like WWE style. I was just going to point out.
I came in hot, and I didn't want to be like, Swole sucks. Like afterwards, she got up, got character over, and fucking did, DMX, fucking whatever the fuck she's trying to do.
Right. I just wanted to also point out that the AEW fans or fans of who are anti-WWE will say, well, I don't like when they do this, but AEW does some of the same things too, is what I was going to say. So don't be a hypocrite and go online and complain when AEW does the same shit. Cody Rhodes, though, he comes out next. He's in the ring. Now, I watched this episode on Fight rather than live on TNT. So during the break, Cody comes out and, he's kind of just being himself, not his, elevated personality, which he raises for television. He's just interacting with the crowd, talking with them, puts over the camera guy, puts over the doctor.
So you saw all of this on the feed? Me too, bro. And I got a big problem with it.
Okay, go for it.
I just went off with Stevie on this, and Stevie couldn't believe it either. Sil, did you see this?
Which part exactly?
So
because I had commercials.
I don't know if you had commercials, so we didn't. So did Cody come down and then they cut to commercial?
Yes.
Cody comes down, they cut to commercial. Cody just lost to MJF, and he's got a big fucking transformer on his neck. So there's that to start things off. And then what we watch, dude, he goes, hey, give it up for Jamie, the cameraman, you guys. Jamie. All the marks fucking start putting over. And this is the doctor that keeps us safe, Dr. Flintstone or whatever. And they fucking, they start chanting him. And there's a guy with a leaf blower who fucking is getting the confetti or whatever. And he's like, oh, you're like my dad. You're just making more of a mess. So like they're like Dusty, and then they chant this fucking dude's name. Then he goes, tell me when we're coming back to the cameraman. The cameraman's like, okay. They come back and it's like scene on, bro.
Right, yeah,
back in, dude. Like I go, what the fuck did I just watch? And we go from there into the Jake Roberts thing. Dude, it was like AEW's taped before a live studio audience, where they're going in and out of a fucking TV show where Cody is now an actor playing Cody, and when the camera's off in front of the live fucking house where you're about to put over your MJF loss and introduce Jake Roberts, we're taking a 2-minute suck the crowd off and put these guys over break, that this is all a phony fucking TV show and we're not doing any reality creation until we come back from commercial. And now I'm Cody Rhodes, who was just beat. And I'm serious about this. Dude, I'd never seen anything so fucking ridiculous in my life. I wanted to save this of like what we talked about earlier with it. I couldn't believe this was fucking happening, dude. If anybody's going to be rolling over in his grave at fucking knocking out a reality that you're trying to create, it's his old fucking man, and he's doing it live here, bro. I couldn't believe it. Could you... MSG, had you ever seen anything like that in front of a live crowd of 4,000 where you want to come out, do your entrance, and set up a reality that's about to happen, that you take a 2-minute pause? Still, it's like me coming out going, yo, law infidels, hear me now. I've got something to say. When we come back from commercial, Ben Hamin's going to say something middle of commercials. All right, guys, what's going on? Who wants a Ben Hamin shirt, everybody? Conspiracy Horseman, y'all, Russo brand. YOLO, I'm back. I'll crush you, infidel Silvio. Like, that was the fucking exactly what happened, bro.
Yeah, so before you go, Silvio, I was just going to say, I'm going to give some credit to AEW, not to Cody Rhodes. I like the production style of when they are during the breaks during that Fight TV. I think it's kind of cool. It makes you feel immersed like you are live in the crowd, like you're watching the show. But to your point, Ben, I've never gone to a WWE event and during the breaks, never gone to an Impact Wrestling when they were around event and saw Austin Aries breaking kayfabe or breaking the fourth wall between commercial and television breaks.
Unreal, bro.
And the fact is they're being it's live streamed, so it's not like a WWE where it does go into break and no one's gonna see that. And it's only for the house crowd. This is being streamed.
It's a wrestling show. That never happens. You don't do that on a The only person who gets to do that on a wrestling show is the ring announcer who goes, we're coming back in 40 seconds. Who wants a t-shirt? Hey, give it up to fucking Bob over here, man. He's doing a kick-ass job tonight. Our camera crew and everybody, we want to say thanks. Give it up to him. Bob. All right, we're coming back in 10 seconds. Everybody. Not Cody.
Yeah.
I didn't see this,
bro.
I can't really comment on it.
I gotta send it. It's nuts.
But if it happened the way you laid it out, which I'm sure it did, I do question Cody's judgment on that because it seems out of character for him. He's usually very, very good at making things feel real. That's one of his strong points. So this seems very out of character.
This seemed out of wrestling to me. This is like fucking
that too.
This seemed like Roseanne is taped for a live studio audience. Oh, we didn't get it. Let's take two.
Well, that's exactly how the show sets out, right? Because they're counting down to the crowd. The crowd is just 100% quiet, and then they count down the crowd, and
the crowd marks. The crowd fucking marks even more hypocrite shit. Of we want reality and professionalism, but they're selling after their reality just got crushed by the fucking Messiah. of wrestling in AEW. I'm befuddled by it, bro. It took me out of the rest of the show.
And you know what also took me out as well is the fact that JR is on commentary and he comes back after we sit through and watch that shit and he goes, the crowd's going crazy for Cody. They really love him. And I'm like, no, I just watched the crowd 100% again.
A countdown.
Yeah.
Instead of him doing a real promo and relating to the crowd and being in character and really drawing them in. And when we come back, it's Cody addressing the crowd, and he knows when the signal's coming, and he would have had his promo ready there, and we could have hit the ground running. Well, what did I miss? We'll go back to fucking AEW YouTube and see the beginning of this promo if you want to. They're not going to show him fluffing the fucking crowd and doing the t-shirt gun fucking spot. Yeah. And then Jake Roberts comes out in the most serious scene to get it over. I'm blown away, dude. I'm blown away by it.
Well, let's talk about the context. We have Cody. He comes out, as I mentioned, the crowd gives him a big welcome. Cody says he's not sure if he wants to talk about what it's like to personally lose to MJF. Says it's a tough pill to swallow. Says that, he could deal with what happened if MJF, or says he could deal with it. Like, I can sit, I can let it go if MJF can come out and face me like a man and say, I beat you fair and square. Before he does that, or he has the opportunity to do that, Jake the Snake's music hits. So he comes down to the ring. Jake cuts a better promo than anybody, maybe other than a Chris Jericho on this show can perform. Everything that he said had meaning. How he delivered.
Dude, when he walks away, he goes, fucking, never turn your back on somebody you fear or respect. And then he fucking turns his back and hucks the fucking mic at him. That's Shakespeare versus fucking Teletubbies. That's the difference in their fucking performance level. How I look at those two performers now, bro.
Yeah, so Jake the Roberts said he comes out and says he's basically tired of hearing Cody Rhodes bitch and moan. Says he's got a brand new client. The Dark Side is coming to AEW, which instinctively made you think, okay, is he the leader of the Dark Order? But they didn't really kind of hint at that.
Should have been. He'd have been a fucking great choice, dude, to be the top guy. But he puts it over that he's not.
Right. The way they position it is he's got one client. So that made me start to think, who's out there that AEW is potentially bringing in? Could it be a guy like a Brody Lee? Could it be a guy like Lance Hoyt, who's going to be coming back now? I don't see it as a Matt Hardy. I don't think Matt Hardy needs a Jake the Snake to be, his speaker. He's got his own Broken Brilliance and universe going on. Who do you think, Silvio, could potentially be this client that Jake the Snake is referring to?
Okay, so when he said this, I did not think Dark Order. What I did think was they're doing another dark thing. And to be honest, I don't know if I want to see another dark thing on OVW. They have the Dark Order. The word dark is in the fucking title of their name. They tried the Nightmare Collective. That was a failed experiment. Whether it's one person, I hope to God if they do it, it's just a person, not a group. There are plenty other types of heels that you can be other than like a dark fucking type of character. But as far as the content of the promo, I don't know who the guy's going to be, so I'm waiting to see. Jake Roberts is one of the fucking best on the mic. His promo was eloquent. It was great, well delivered. I always am a big proponent of Cody. I love his storytelling abilities. I think, though, Cody took a little bit too much heat this week. So he lost at the pay-per-view the way he did. Then he kind of came out and almost complained a little bit, which is a hard road when you're a babyface. And then Jake Roberts, a 60-year-old man, just eviscerated him in the ring. So Cody's got to be careful. Like, I felt it drop a little bit, me just watching, and I think I'm a pretty trained eye. I was like, man, Hangman Page is nipping at his heels for that babyface spot. Like, he's got to be careful taking so much heat. You got to get some shine back on Cody ASAP.
Before you jump in, I want to play off that. I want to also point out, to me, it kind of felt like a high school hallway scene. You've got the popular Cody Rhodes, basically, you've got the cool biker guy coming in, basically putting him in his place, shutting him down. It felt like Cody was the heel almost, and Jake kind of came off as a baby face. I know you're going to put it over Jake, but what do you think of the whole scene itself?
Yeah, Jake's going to be a baby, even if he's doing heel work, just based on nostalgia and ability to deliver alone is going to outshine. You're going to see what was and then what isn't in that. And Cody's going to have to raise his performance if they're going to work together again to get that. I'm not saying he can't, but this is definitely not going to make Cody look big because Jake is fucking massive to start with. Yeah. And then, then it's still a whodunit mystery. Now, I didn't feel that it's a new Dark thing. I think it is Dark Order because of the Raven, and now we see Jake, and Matt could possibly be another tease on it. I'm kind of thinking who's left in the chain, and I wasn't even thinking Jake. So I wanted it to be Jake, and now it's not. So it'll be interesting. Maybe
it is.
Yeah, maybe it's something new, but I liked the promo, and I liked this segment. After everything that happened before it, I was fucking destroyed by I was like because the seg was so good. I was like, why would you do all that shit beforehand if you're doing this? It made me hurt even worse. So yeah, man,
I gotta add this, man.
Go ahead.
I was happy to see Jake. However, when I watched him out there and saw how he interacted, I don't think there's any way they're gonna ever be able to get any heat on Jake. He's too respected by the wrestling fans, and he can't wrestle anymore, so it's not like he can do it in the ring.
He can fuck over Arn, though. Him fucking over Arn.
But is that going to get heat, or is that going to get a pop?
It'll get both.
It'll be the fact getting heat on Jake.
No, it'll be the fact of doing it. I think they could long term if they keep him in it. I think now if there's one client, who's the one client? DDP. Is DDP going to be the cult leader, of all this? He could pull it off.
We'll do a bet. We'll put a wager on it. If Jake gets heat, you win, and if he doesn't get any heat and he gets cheered, I win.
All right. If I got to eat crow, I'll take some off your plate.
All right.
So, but Jake Roberts, of course, the context of his whole promo basically says that he's tells Cody that to bring that one trick pony Arn Anderson with him. Says that he's not in AEW to take the whole pie, just Cody's share, and then he heads out with the ring with that amazing line you mentioned. A wise man once told me, never turn your back on someone you respect or someone you fear, and he turned his back on Cody as he walked out. Awesome way to leave the ring and, have that shock factor, like, oh, right? So it definitely left you wanting some more. Now, I was a little confused in the placement of the next match. The next match is good. I mean, I like this match. It was just weird because we came off talking about the Dark Order. Now we go into another match where another faction is going to be formed here. So we've got Pac taking on Chuck Taylor. I really like this match. I thought Chuck and Pac really worked really well up until the end. I thought they were doing a good job. They slowed down the match, told a good story back and forth. There's a lot of good technical wrestling. There wasn't any too much over the top. Both guys were selling. Chuck T looked really good, like he could hang with Pac, which there's going to be some criticism I already know there, right? Because based off what he did with Orange Cassidy, now anybody can fight Pac. But overall, I liked it. Finish of the match, though, was where we saw, I guess, Pac, he picks up via submission, and then afterwards we get the Lucha Bros. They come out, they attack the Best Friends once again. They did not explain it on the pay-per-view, but they explained it here that we've got a brand new faction, another faction, Death Triangle. What did you think of this, Mr. Susio?
Man, I like the match in itself. I think it was match of the night.
Yep.
Pac and Chucky T, they did a really good job. One thing I liked about the layout of this week's show was it was very organized. They would show a clip of what happened at the pay-per-view. Then it would take you to what those people are doing now. What happened to Cody? How was his reaction? Then we cut right to Cody. So I thought that was very smart, and I haven't seen wrestling done that way in a while. A funny note about this match at the beginning, if you notice on commentary, JR is very subtly and politely saying that if Chucky T took it serious and got in better shape, he'd have a better career. Like, he just kind of worded it like, he's got a big frame. If he added some to the frame, he kept using the word frame. But they had a tight match.
That's been the note on him for the last 5 years, bro. I've heard that same fucking. Wow. I've even maybe even longer, bro. I've heard that from multiple people too.
I'd like to see Chuck come out of his shell a little bit more. It looks like he's not used to doing singles. He's been tagging for a while, so I want to see a little more star power. He did hit this insane pile driver on Pac when Pac went for some kind of back elbow. Chuck caught him over his head and pile drove the shit out of him. It was cool, but I got news for you. I wrote this in my notes, man. Afterwards, when you had Trent come in to try to defend him and then Cassidy come in to defend Trent, fucking Cassidy's the most over best friend, man. It's almost like the act now revolves around him.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's the third part, and that's the thing. In a scene, you establish the A and B player, which is Trent and him, and then Cassidy's the C player in the back, and he only needs to do the one thing to play out the game. The C player usually has the answer until it's time for him to pivot to the front man and have that spotlight put on him. And they can do that in a variety of ways. I didn't need the hug in the middle. I would have liked it at the end afterwards when he loses to Pac is like a way to lift him up to say, hey, we're best friends still, instead of like doing an egregious spot where we have to get it in a match, you know? But I did like Chucky T here. Usually I'm a bigger Trent fan, but I thought Chuck sold well. Facials up. It worked better for TV. It worked better for camera. So there was improvement in his performance. I did pick that up from JR too. And I've always thought that, and I don't know if he's, I don't know what his mind really is like. I've worked a couple shows with him, but Trent kind of made a rib one time, and I'll stooge off, of like, he was working with Colin Delaney, who they had an awesome match at UPW. And he's like, it's easy putting it together with Colin, man. Yeah, he goes, it gets tough with sorry, I've lost his name already. Chucky. He goes, he's pretty meticulous. So I guess Chuck's one of those guys who might walk through every little fucking detail instead of, I'm taking you over to the wall. You take your own bump, do what you want to do. Like, instead it's like, you're going to do step one, step two. So some guys, that's just their style. Maybe that's what they need for their head. That's not how you and I play the game.
Yeah. You did great though. Good match.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned though, post-match guys, brand new faction. Death Triangle. I want to ask you guys, what's an acceptable amount of factions in a wrestling company? Because here's AEW's. We've got the Inner Circle, Jurassic Express, the Elite, Best Friends, MJF's Crew, the Dark Order, Death Triangle, SCU.
Punishment Posse.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's 8 factions. Is that a lot? Or am I thinking too much into this?
Yes. I don't think there's a limit on the factions. It's going to boil down to the quality. So when I saw it announced, it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted, but it might be what I need. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and watch it happen. Just like the Britt Baker heel turn. I didn't see it coming and I didn't want it at all. But then it turned out that it was actually for the better and kind of saved Britt Baker's character. So right now, I don't know what they're going to do. It is kind of another dark kind of stable. Pentagon has a skull mask and Pac does black and white vignettes. So we'll see. I don't think they necessarily need to be paired together, but they're all fucking phenomenal workers. So, the matches are going to be great.
Yeah, they're going to get the work rate. And unfortunately, I would have liked to see them Pac go over strong on fucking Orange Cassidy. Eat him up. That was the catalyst for this match. Fuck over Chucky T. Trent comes in. The real build is Trent versus Pac with his 2 best friends behind him who got their fucking asses handed to him in X amount of time. And Trent gets the fucking push from it with the best friends behind it. Trent could even win because of the help of the best friends after the pay off the heat there. And it wouldn't have hurt Pac because it took 3 guys to fucking beat him coming together to show what friendship can do to beat the big fucking heel. It's the same exact story as fucking Scott Farkas in fucking Christmas Story, beating the shit out of everybody, and then comes back and gets his from the one fucking kid. So they missed from the pay-per-view to this to where they could go to make Pac an even bigger heel for picking on guys he knows whose ass he can easily whip until you think Trent's the one who's going to step up and fucking do it. I hate missed opportunities like that in storytelling.
Yeah, see, all this to me, just from looking at it, just from, I guess a narrow lens on this one show. It felt like you've got the Jake the Snake badass coming in and telling the rich boy, pretty boy jock off. I've got 8 different little cliques here with, rockers and musicians and dark order and goth people. It just feels a little too high schoolish for me. That's all.
Yeah, everyone's clicked up, but that also could be by choice because they wanted to move into some. They're going to do a special pay-per-view where it's each clique against each other. They're going to do something Survivor Series-esque or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if this turns into like trios tag team titles in 6 months, I'll put my foot in my mouth and I'll be like, okay, this is where they were going with it. But as of right now, I don't know. It feels very high schoolish to me. That's all.
Matt, I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to tell you, sit back and let it ride, baby. I think you're going to like it.
All right.
I know your style. I think you're going to like it. Hey, something in my notes.
Matt heard that a lot last weekend.
Yes, he did. Did you guys see when Pentagon was biting Orange Cassidy's ear?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was kind of a fucking awkward visual. It was cool, I guess, but a little bit awkward.
I do that in almost all my matches.
Fuck that. No one's biting my ear. But maybe this is what the Luchas need. Like, they haven't been able to get heat, and they're so fucking good in the ring. How are you going to boo them? So maybe this is what they need to.
We'll get him over his heels as Triangle Death Squad or whatever the fuck they are.
That sounds better than what they're going by.
Yeah. And then when Ray comes in, they're the ones who. That's what I want to see is Lucha Brothers fuck over Ray. Ray needs a partner, and then we do it that way. That'd be an awesome story, Luchas and Ray.
I also think from a language standpoint, I think it'll be good to have Pac cutting the promo, speaking on behalf maybe more of the Lucha Brothers. He'll be able to try and connect that bridge as far as connecting with the Lucha Bros. So I get what you're saying there. So next up, though, we've got Jake Hager with Santana and Ortiz out versus QT Marshall with Brandy and Dustin Rhodes. I like that they're giving QT Marshall a shine. I think that's really cool how they're starting to integrate him more into their Nightmare family. So he's definitely, become part of the Cody clique, if you will, on screen. This was a quick match, though. Hager comes out, immediately lifts Marshall, throws it down to the mat, follows it up some shots in the corner, beats him up some more. We see a power slam, shot to the midsection, a Vader bomb. Marshall gets back up. Runs though, gets kicked in the face and then hit some punches as well. Ends though with Hager locking in the standing triangle and tapping out QT Marshall. So good match as far as Jake Hager getting him some screen time, getting QT Marshall. I think obviously the big storyline coming out of it is the post-match stuff because you see Hager holding down on the move. Dustin runs in to break it up. Then Santana and Ortiz get in. They attack Dustin. Cody runs out, clears Santana and Ortiz out of the ring, and then Hager gets back in. They're fighting back and forth. Now we see Ortiz smack Cody in the back across the chair. Matt Jackson runs out because while they didn't mention it here tonight, Nick Jackson was not here because his wife is in labor, having their 3rd child, which they brought up on Being the Elite last week. So that's why he wasn't here. Because they were saying he could have it at any time. So Matt swings away on Hager, beats and eats a high elevation slam. All of a sudden, though, then we see Stone Cold Steve Austin 2.0, Hangman Page. He comes out with his beer. He gets in the ring, takes a sip of his beer, gets in the ring, clears out everybody, does an awesome spot where he puts the beer on the turnbuckle post. Then he gets knocked around by Hager, but then jumps back in with a buckshot lariat. I like this next part. It looked like Matt was kind of giving Hangman Page for going back to the beer, and Hangman was like, dude, fuck you. I just saved you. And then he gets out of the ring. Awesome segment. You got Cody, even trying to talk to Matt. Hey, no, it's okay. He came out. At least he came out and saved us. He is with us. You know what I mean? So you still have that teasing going on. Really like the end stuff or the post-match stuff with this, Chris.
Yeah, once again, man, Hangman Page steals the fucking scene.
Yeah.
I loved it. How he was just so slow and nonchalant, took the time to balance his beer on the ring post, then got in, whipped some ass. And think about the logic of this, right? All the other baby faces came in and they couldn't get the job done. They couldn't overpower the heels. Hangman Page was the one that could. So that says something about where they're going with him, and they hear the way the crowd's responding. I like the match itself. I'm happy for QT. He's a hustler. He's been around as long as I have. I've seen him put in the work. He's earned his place. Hager should be winning. He's been doing a good job. Only thing that confuses me about Hager is he's a killer in the ring, but I've been saying for weeks, everyone on the roster has already whipped his ass. Like if you go back to the pay-per-view when they did all the run-ins on the main event, when it was Hager's time to run in the Jericho Moxley match, he took one forearm and flat back bumped on the floor. So you remember all those segments of him being the enforcer for the Inner Circle, but then getting bounced around like a basketball? So it's funny, like when it's not in a match, he gets beat up, but when he's in the ring, it's a killer. So I want to see Hager protect himself just a little bit more, but they tied it together fucking awesome. Hangman Page just killing it. Good little segment.
Ben, Hangman Page, he showed up, drank beer, kicked ass, and went home. What'd you think of this?
Fucking locker room winner right there. Best payday. Oh, I got to go out there, fucking get heat, take no bumps, take a sip of beer, and fucking go back and get a paycheck. Yeah, I can do that. I think I can. I'm trained for that. I'm an expert in that. So, yeah, dude, he absolutely does. They set him up perfectly to be the fucking top babyface. He's now the top babyface in the company. He's above Moxley. He's above Cody. He's above them all. It doesn't matter, champ, whatever. It's the want to see him. The want. I bet he outsells merchandise more. Cowboy shit, all that stuff will sell. They need to figure out. Brandy needs to be worrying about what the branding is for him and how to make money, because it's ready to be printed. There's an extra $1 million sitting there. We just got to fucking find out how to get it.
They need to keep stretching out his ascent, though. I don't want to see in 2 weeks him be the guy. Let it build naturally.
They will, though. They'll fucking shotgun it and they'll fuck it up. They're gonna.
I don't think so, man. They've been good about telling stories.
Oh, yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait see where this Congo Kong with the knife thing pays off, cutting people's hair. That's going to be an awesome one.
That one's gone. We know that one.
Oh, that story's gone? Oh.
Yeah, they broke that on Twitter.
Other than that, come on.
But I, you guys talked about it 2 weeks ago, and shout out to Paja for clipping it, about Hangman Page being Stone Cold Steve Austin 2.0. And when I first heard you say that, I was like, okay. But after the last couple of weeks, I'm 100% on board with you. They've got lightning in a bottle right here with this guy, and he's young. He's got that next kind of he's got the same characteristics of a Stone Cold Steve Austin that made him so popular. He showed up. He didn't give a shit about anybody else. He kicked ass, drank beer, told you, flipped you off to your face to the man, and then he went home.
It's Stone Cold. He just did his basic Stone Cold, dude, and they can't even do it right on WWE. And here these guys are doing it at a kind of tuned down version, which was good to not go full bore with it.
Yeah.
And fucking, it worked flawlessly. And if anything, what I would be doing right now, based on that, and the T-shirts, the whatever the fuck, I'd be trying to get Stone Cold Steve Austin. That'd be my number one fucking hire, to bring him in, to do the fucking rub, and maybe even get him all over, bro. That's how you're gonna really, you want to stick in Vince's ass and go head to head with him on Monday nights. That's how you do it.
That's a game changer.
I agree with you, but then unfortunately nobody else will be able to show up on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But as I liked AEW's their tweet, rather than how Austin had the show up, drink beer, kick gas. AEW tweeted out, show up, buckshot, drink a brewski, flip off Matt Jackson, and leave. So I really liked that. Backstage, though, we have MJF. Now, he cuts his promo. A little weird on the production standpoint, how they started this promo. He kind of got cut off there in the first 5 to 10 seconds. So I didn't necessarily, catch what he said initially, but he did say that this was the final chapter of Cody's epic odyssey. Says the fans should pick someone new to follow, and that's him. So he says he plans on staying undefeated in AEW, and it doesn't matter who he's going to face next. If it's Hangman, Mox, Kenny Omega, Pac, goes down the list. Says it's suddenly hot in the room, takes off his jacket, shows he's wearing a I Pin Cody t-shirt. Says, of course, and this is the line you were talking about, Ben. Says, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was here. It's a little bit distracting and obnoxious, kind of like a neck tattoo. So great promo, though, from MJF and Wardlow. And you guys kind of discussed it a little bit when we started, and I know you wanted to talk about it, Chris, when we got here.
Yeah, so I started watching this promo, and I was upset. I was like, man, this should be in the ring. This should be in front of a live audience. But MJF is so good. By the end of it, he had me, and I didn't give a fuck, and it worked. I didn't care that he was backstage, not in front of a live crowd. He's just that good of a promo. He says he's going to be the next champ, or he's going to be champ, so you can kind of see the build coming with him. And then the thing he did with the T-shirt is just brilliant old school shit. Like, if you look at the font on the shirt, That's the old I broke fucking Wahoo's leg, I fucking hurt Dusty shirt.
Yeah.
Greg Valentine had the fucking same shirt. Like it's old school. That's an old trick. He does his homework, man. All the stuff that you hear veteran wrestlers complaining about wrestlers these days, MJF is the perfect example of how to appease them by keeping it old school but still be contemporary. He can have a match with 450s and fucking shooting stars and whatever, but he doesn't do much. If you watch an MJF match, he's got a few moves. He doesn't do much offense. He sells and he gets heat. He's super fucking old school, but he fits like a glove in 2020 AEW.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I really like MJF as well. You know, he's young, he's arrogant. You know, there's stuff we kind of briefly touched upon it, but you mentioned it as far as some of the news headlines, right? You know, MJF at a recent autograph signing flipped off a 7-year-old, and I was, you know, and there was some a little bit, oh, that sucks, you shouldn't do that, blah, but no. If I'm that kid, dude, in 10 years when MJF's in his 30s and, you know, for all intents and purposes, let's say he's now a superstar, you've got a pretty cool fucking moment in time as a child where you've got MJF with a giant middle finger in your face. I don't know, as a mark, that's a cool moment. That's your profile picture right there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I thought that was a cool moment for the kid. The dad's laughing. You can tell the dad understands. He's into it as well. And he's just so good at being a heel in 2020 and not buying into the SJW bullshit, not letting that affect his character. I have nothing bad to say about it, Jeff.
What was his comment? Wasn't his comment to that fuck those kids
kid,
or
fuck
something
those
like
kids.
Fuck those kids. Yeah, TFZ hit him up. Fuck them kids.
Yeah, dude, I've said it before, I can't believe he's not a Rip Rogers guy from the way he works, the way he gets his heat, the way he does his character, the way he takes from old and makes it new again. It's exactly what I do. It's exactly what Silvio does. We all take from the best that inspire us and make it our own, and that's exactly what he does. And he doesn't do dives and dumb fucking shit that doesn't need to be done and punches bump card unnecessarily until it's the payoff when it actually means something. And even then, those bumps are usually reasonably safe and well thought out and all have meaning and not for ooh and ah effect for some hypocrite marks that don't give a shit if he's paralyzed next week. Love the stuff with the kid. Everyone puts that over, and I'll Barry Horowitz myself. That shit is good, but that's where everybody should be. That shit's soft to me. When we're in Dynasty, Chris Envy had his 9-year-old daughter out in the ring singing the national anthem, and they hit my music halfway through, and I grab her by the hair and raise my hand like I'm going to slap her across the fucking face. And then you know, the big baby face does the run-in for the save, Muhammad Hassan, America's favorite son, to stop it all. But the girl was scared because she didn't know what was really going to happen. She was smarting up a little bit, but nothing of that. Right after the Parkland shooting, there's a bunch of little kids on the railing, and they're all standing there during my entrance, and all their parents are there. They're probably anywhere from 5 to fucking 10 years old, booing me, maybe 7 of them. I fucking went right down the line and went bang, 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 bang. And those little kids don't know shit because they've been shielded from it all day, but the parents are all like, oh, you motherfucker. And like, they get it. And I didn't have to say nothing. I didn't have to say the word. I just did the handgun like into each of them.
Those of you just listening to the audio of this, last week I said I'd describe my body language better for the audio listeners. Right now I'm literally shaking my head, and my head is in my hands, and I'm rubbing my temples.
But wouldn't you love that spot, Susio, to come out as the babyface after and then beat me and hear the pop that I fucking just got for you off all of my terrible heat?
I always loved beating you.
Making them swallow what they fucking want to. Yeah, fuck that elbow drop. But I'm that, like, so when people say, oh, MJF told the kid to fuck off and flipped him off, I'm like, you want to see something? Come see what the fuck I do. That shit is good, but that's because everybody else's shit sucks even that much worse. That's some fucking 5th grade shit to me, bro.
Maybe that could be your Walmart thing. Maybe you just start going nuts with that kind of thing,
maybe.
And fucking you'll have 80 million hits.
When I turns it up, and it's always got truth behind it. And that's what they don't want to hear, is the fucking brutal truth that they have to swallow like a jagged little pill. Take it home, Alanis Morissette.
What's that saying? I mean, 2 turnips in heat?
2 turnips in heat. Yeah, you got to turn ups the heat, 2 turnips in heat, and fucking that's what we got to do right here. Is 2 turnips in heat. I don't know why they say that, but you need 2 turnips and they got to be hot.
Yeah, I think MJF does a really good job. I want to say before, like I saw in the last 24 hours before we recorded, like there was a video somewhere where like MJF was throwing like someone's beer or beverage onto them. So somebody tweeted it back or tweeted out, if MJF ever did this to me, I'd slap him in the face. And MJF came right out on Twitter, I'll book you the fucking ticket, fly your ass here, and let's see how much of a bitch
exactly.
you are.
People say that to me. I say, fuck, bring $5, motherfucker. You want to stand in the pocket with me? I'm more than willing to fucking light the side of your face up.
Yeah, so MJF does a really good job. If you for those listening, if you haven't taken the time, go look up. There was a great article. I forgot who it was. It might have been Sports Illustrated over the weekend. They did on MJF, how he got into wrestling. It was all based upon the fact that of that Rosie O'Donnell trip he won. He went out there, did the Rosie O'Donnell show, and while he was out there in California, he stayed with his uncle, who was a big wrestling fan. So fascinating stuff about how MJF got in. How he immediately went home and started watching wrestling as a kid and made it his dream, what he wanted to do. So.
Well, here's the other thing too that I don't want to gloss over. Sue and me, I'm not trying to rib you or anything like that, but our size difference is pretty pronounced, and we work different styles because of it. But MJF is so good because he's not a big guy. He's in the gym working his ass off to do all he can to be ready body wise and not look like. To me right now, he's as close to Triple H. I think Triple H is his favorite wrestler. I see him steal from the game all the time and make it his own, but it's not obvious. A lot of his takes and a lot of his timing are from Triple H. But because he doesn't have Triple H's size, he's got to be better at promo, better at getting heat spots, staying in character, telling people to fuck off, using social media the right way while everybody else looks like a mark, and fucking getting his pre-tapes to be better than anybody else, and referencing wrestling history properly without overstating it, saying, you remember this shirt from fucking back when they're at that few? No. He's playing at a very high level for his character. He's playing to the height of his character's intelligence, which is as performers and improvisers, that's where we should all be striving for, the height of my character's intelligence. And then the audience will come along with that. You don't play down to them. You can interact with them, but playing down to them is still in character. Come on, motherfucker. I'll fly it out right now and I'll beat the shit out of you. Say something. Tell me where to send the ticket. And then, okay. I'm a star. You're a fucking mark. We're on. That's the beauty of it, dude. And he's doing it. I think if he was 6'5", I always say to Mondo, Mondo goes, man, I'd be world champ if I just had your size, right? Because he's got the fucking better mind, better wrestler, but he doesn't have the fucking extra 6 inches to make Vince McMahon go, look at the size of that son of a bitch. Yeah.
Right. MJF is so good that you forget that he's not that big of a man because he compensates for it in all those other areas. Like, I hardly ever realize that he's quote unquote a smaller guy. He does a great job. He's a great heel. Best heel in the business, I think.
He's hidden his weakness because he's made all those other things his strengths. You go through 4 or 5 other things before you go like, well, what's weak about this guy? Well, he's short. Well, nothing he can do about that. Look at all the fucking shit that he's done to make himself awesome. He's in good shape, looks good, got over a fucking scarf that he stole from Jericho gimmick. Like all that shit's there before you ever get to like detracting from him.
Yeah, MJF is certainly getting real heat in that article as well. He talked, I guess there was a story. There was a fan waiting for him outside of one of the venues, was holding like a sword or a knife after keying up his car. And MJF put his keys between his hands, got right in the guy's face and said, are we going to fucking do this? And the guy whimpered out and backed off, right? So like he's getting that old school heat where you got fans waiting for him outside in the parking lot.
He should have a 22 in his bag then. He should have a pistol.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He ain't afraid of heat. Most wrestlers today are afraid of heat. He ain't afraid of it.
A 22 isn't, unless he shoots somebody in the head. 22 isn't going to fucking kill nobody, and it would be actually add to his legacy if some dumb motherfucking AEW super suckhole moron who's in their own Cody loving way comes up to try and do that and does something to him, and he fucking kneecapped him with a 22. He'd be my fucking hero, dude. MJF would be my favorite wrestler till the end of time.
Yeah, I'm not a big gun guy, but I didn't know until I watched that Dave Chappelle.
If he shot Scooby-Doo in the fucking knee, I'd love it, bro. That would have been.
I was gonna say I didn't know until that Dave Chappelle stand-up that they make different styles of bullets. You can, stuff not to kill. I'm not a gun guy. I don't know. I'm from the West Coast. I don't fucking know.
All right. Here's what I shoot deer with. Like, if this is bullet size, here's a 20.
Oh.
Here's a 22. Like, all right. So
Okay.
big caliber bullets. A 22 will just enter you and rattle around. Like a rifle bullet will go through you, expand, and fucking blow out the back. So like. There's bigger calibers. It goes all the way up. Yeah.
And see, and this, ladies and gentlemen, while yes, I live on the West Coast and I live with progressives, this is why I don't want the Second Amendment or guns to be taken away. I don't want to own the gun, but I want to be able to go to the guy who has the gun.
All right.
Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara up next, taking on Jon Moxley and Darby Allin in our main event. So as we mentioned in the beginning,
wars would take forever if people only had 22s. You're like, I got shot fucking 8 times out there. All right, we'll pull these out. You can go back out tomorrow.
Well, that's why they lined them up, right? That's how they did the lining up. Shit.
Yeah, that's how they do. Fucking fuck. Sorry, go ahead.
So main event status, yes, as we mentioned and Jericho mentioned, if Moxley cannot leave the ring under his own power, Jericho will take a 60-day leave of absence from AEW. Moxley, as he tries to come out to the ring, he's attacked by what I initially thought was the Dark Order because these guys had masks on, so that was a little confusing.
What the fuck?
So yeah, the Inner Circle attacks Mox and basically lays him out for the remainder of the match. So we end up getting pretty much a 2-on-1 match with Darby Allin taking on the Inner Circle. The winner of this match, of course, was Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara after I believe it was Darby Allin took a huge – or Allin sent Guevara down on his crew. Allin came in with a coffin drop on the Inner Circle. And then back over the ring, we saw an over-the-top center. A coffin drop was hit on Guevara. Jericho broke it up, and then he hits Guevara by mistake. Jericho was sent out to the floor. Allin tried for a suicide dive, and this was really cool. Jericho hit him with the Judas effect in midair, which has now become a meme online. You can check it out. Tossed Allin back into the ring, and then Guevara, got the pin. So the winner of this match was Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Before we get to the post-match stuff, Ben, he's talking. Sil, did you want to talk about? What were your thoughts on that? How they took out Mox?
So they got me on that. I'm watching and I'm waiting for the old Jim Cornette spot or Andre the Giant coming back when I can't remember the match, but Andre got jumped and came with his head wrapped to get the big tag. I was waiting the whole match for Moxley to come and get the tag, and I honestly thought they were going to give it to us, and they didn't.
The Terry Funk spot with
so I kind of credit them in a way for not giving us that. On the other side, it was an interesting call having Moxley take heat like that after just winning the title. But for whatever reason, they thought that it was more important this week to get the heat back on Jericho and the heels. So I'm going to see where they go from that before I say whether that was the right or wrong call. But they definitely got me. I thought the whole time he was going to come out and tag. They had that fucking Judas effect spot you were talking about. Looked like death. Looked like Darby fell on his head going for that dive. And one more final note of that match, they had a really nice pose with Sammy and Jericho when Sammy does the spinaroonie into the little head on his arm pose and his stepdaddy Jericho behind him. That was TV gold.
Yeah, they're hitting their poses at the end the right way, whether it's the middle fingers after the fuck you through the table. A little things like that are too spotty for me, where let's get him up there and then we're going to give him the big jackknife and Jake's got to jump down and we'll set him and there's the tables, and it just takes out of the organic violence of it. You know what I mean? Of like, beat the fuck out of him. Throw him. Holy shit, he threw him. What happened? Boom, through the table he goes. Like, when it becomes like a big team effort to fuck somebody over in a cheerleader kind of way, you base, lift them, we'll get up. Like, I'm not as down with that,
Who got thrown through that last? Didn't like one of the Jacksons get thrown through it?
At the end of the show?
Oh, no, I get recently.
Oh, I get what you were saying. It was Kenny Omega and was it Pac or during that match?
Oh, and Ricky Morton. Remember they put Ricky Morton through the.
Darby tagging himself. That was a good pop. Darby was over as fuck. The coffin bump off the top, was was good too. But yeah, this was a good swerve at the end of like, Jericho's got to go play rock and roll. At least we'll get a little closure and we'll see how we do it. And then they don't do that. I thought that was good. And it was at least a nice little like, we're so conditioned to wrestling. Let's take one thing and fucking turn it a little bit. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. Give me a little titty twister there at the end while you had me in the abdominal stretch.
I kind of glossed over this a little bit, but I don't want it to be unsaid. They really pushed Darby hard in this, and Darby carried his weight. He did a phenomenal job in that match. He made a comeback on both heels. He was seamless in his offense.
But
Darby did a hell of a job, and they're pushing him, so good for him. That's a prime example of how in losing a match, you can still walk out more over than when you came
way
in.
more. A win doesn't matter. It's how you win or how you lose, and that facilitates your story. But that's a guy that I was talking about earlier. Build him, and he's on a red hot tear. And then 6 months from now, he's on the shelf for a year because he's not protected from himself and taught how to do things the right way in that build. Some weeks he gets it spot on like this one. Other ones it's like, yeah, that could be it for you, bro. Let's not do that. Let's not do this or that. So I hope that they do have some fail-safes in place to make sure that he does have the longevity work in that style, because now his sex appeal, coolness, and character is what's driving him, not because he jumps off the fucking roof with a skateboard. The coffin drop will be there. We can get that, in a couple different ways. Now it's about circumstance and how he reacts to it. And the thing with Guevara, them two being the two hot, young, sexy properties, that's where the focus should be.
Did you see him almost die? Sorry, Matt, but I got to mention this. Did you see Darby almost die at the pay-per-view when he did that silly spot when he draped Sammy Guevara over the guardrail, kind of like when RVD would do the leg drop onto the guardrail?
I don't think
went for the suicide dive. Darby.
Oh yeah, and he barely got his head. That was fun. That's
like
what I'm
he
saying.
Landed at the bottom of the guardrail on his head.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's things like that where someone needs to say no. Coffin drop is plenty. They're just waiting for the coffin drop. You don't got to go higher than that by doing something stupid that we can't do week after week, that is just to pop them to go ooh and ah for these fucking people in the crowd, the 100,000 of the 700,000, 800,000 we're drawing, who will not give a shit about you if you're paralyzed next month. They're going to care about the next guy who will come in and do it. They're not going to say 2 years from now, what happened to Darby Allin? I miss him. You're going to be forgotten about, bro. So don't.
He's got to protect his investment, which is himself.
Yep.
And the company needs to fucking protect their asset. They got a star they're building, but if he gets fucked up, they don't have him anymore, and they wasted all of that TV time.
He's gonna. There's no if, it's when.
Yeah, no, to play on that, I was going to, point out, as far as just from a viewership perspective, from an emotional connection, I connect more with Darby Allin from this week on the Dynamite show versus the pay-per-view, right? You talk about, he does all these high flashy moves, the coffin drop, versus the visualization of Jericho having him in the walls of Jericho and his face paint is peeling off. Like there's a more emotional connection to that versus just seeing him do a high spot.
Well, that's because he's showing a little skull and you were getting a little skull last week. So that's that's why you're feeling close to him.
Well, overall though, I know that I saw some A or WWE fans or somebody. Actually, I'm gonna call you out. I saw Craigie H from the Hamin Media Group. I love you, Craigie, but I saw Craigie complaining. We haven't seen that triple power bomb before, just like the Shield. Come on, guys, the Shield wasn't the first one to do this triple power bomb spot. A triple power bomb spot through the table has been going on for decades.
Yeah, what does Craig know?
Yeah,
come on, Craig.
Come on. Craig Mack's got a lot in store for MC, so please listen. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I didn't really like that either. I'll back you, Craig. Fuck these guys. I just don't like set up cheerleader spots like that when the craziness and the shootness of Jake Hager is enough for me. They could have just had fucking all those guys stunting and dancing around like whatever. Like, just let the big man hit it on them. We don't need a big group effort there,
Or they could have just got a 22.
They could have shot him one time and let him bleed out. Let's let him lay there, man. Nah, let him bleed. Let him lay there. Don't give him nothing.
But yeah, shout out to Craig. We love you, buddy. Yeah. I love you. You're awesome. Thank you for being a Hamin Media Group listener and member of our
What is this, the fucking Craig show now?
Yeah, Craig,
yeah, it is. I love Craig. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's your AEW Dynamite recap. Of course, if you want, you can bother me, troll me, yell at me, send me dirty messages, tell me how much you hate me. Go on Twitter at Matthew_Schaffer. Of course, don't forget to check out our awesome sponsor this month, BROASTERS, Russo Bro. Go to thebroasters.com, pick up your pack of coffee. I ordered mine, so I'm just waiting for it now to come in the mail.
Actually, I don't know if I'll stooge it off yet. I'm not going to stooge that off yet. No, it's not.
All right. You can tell us after. So you check out thebroasters.com as well. Hacker Hamin, you're traveling. Are you going on the? Is ECW being resurrected? And are you the Paul Heyman? This new Paul Heyman?
Man, I hope not. I'm trying to take weight off, not put it on.
Oh.
But yeah, man, very cool you bring that up. I almost would have forgot to plug. But yeah, Just Incredible reached out to me and said, hey, Hacker, you know, we're obviously on Russo brand together, and I've done stuff with Shane Douglas and his guys over there. I had a great time. And done plenty of shows with the Sandman, who's got a little heat on him as of late for being the Sandman. I guess you get what you pay for. What do you fucking expect? It's the Sandman. But they're going on tour with their ECW whole effing truth tour, and they asked me to MC two of the shows, June 13th in Binghamton and then the 14th in Rochester. So, you know, we'll see who shows up half in the bag and who if I gotta pull 5 minutes or if I gotta pull 45 minutes. But either way, man, you know, me being an OG ECW fan, this was just a really cool of them to ask me to be a part of it, and I'm super pumped. Promote it to that 2CW loyalist audience that you know, I've been here for working in front of them for about 7 years now, man, since I left OVW. So to help with the draw and to make sure that the real diehards are there, I'm happy to do that, and we'll have a good time with it. I'm doing Hamin locally on the 14th, so I got to write some fucking jokes so I don't have any new material yet. And then the 21st, I'm in Albany with our brother APOC from The Ascension. The Ascension is going to be on the show. I've got Tony Atlas and the Patriot. So that'll be a good time, beating the shit out of those two old bastards and retiring them forever and spitting in the face of America once again. And then the 28th of March, I'm back at Bordertown Pro Wrestling. And I don't know, after, you know, Joe Mental Pimental, I'll see you set my sights on somebody new here to beat the shit out of across the border. So big month on the road, man, and even more bookings all through April and May. So we're going to be coming to a town your town soon, so bring $5 and I'll slap the piss out of you and your mama.
What's the website link? Excite? I'm sorry for the tickets.
Oh, yeah, Excite Wrestling, the letter X, CITE.com. That's a local promotion in Binghamton that picked the bones of 2CW, but they've been doing their own thing. And, you know, there was a lot of 2CW guys there. Sean Carr, Johnny Moose is the owner, and Cody actually worked for him and helped them out too with their ring. So, you know, Binghamton's a good wrestling town. A lot of people call it the armpit of New York State. I can't disagree. But then we'll be in Rochester, and that's at the Carlson Comedy Club, which is a very big, well-known comedy club there. Michael Rappaport's playing right after us. Jay Moore playing right before us. Wow. Ryan Nymiller's playing in the beginning of the month. If you saw him on America's Got Talent, I might be doing some stuff with him too. Big wrestling fan, friend of the Bucks, friend of Ziggler and whatnot. Took third on America's Got Talent. So, you know, the Hamin brand, I'm happy to be expanding and being able to put it out there in a couple different ways, man. So, yeah, it's going to be a big, big spring and summer. I'm excited for it.
So go buy the tickets for the CCW show. Get it sold out so that way they take Hamin on the road and can come to a city near you.
Ya Allah.
And, of course, before I let you get your plug in, Silvio, I also want to point out congratulations goes out to our New Force Order brothers. 1 year. The 52nd episode is now up on hackerhamin.podbean.com and on newforceorderpodbean.com. Check out their 1 year anniversary show, guys. They do an awesome show each and every week. Of course, you can check out the Monday, the Wednesday, the Friday locker rooms. The Impact Attack this week with Joe Jan and Ben Hamin. You can check out the Smack Attack later this week with Big Ray and Colin Weissong. The Wednesday locker room, Strangler Steve King, Infinite Fringe, Billy Ray Valentine. The Horror Junkyard just went up. That was a great episode with Big Sal. Brand new episodes of The Horsemen. Voices of Misery podcast each and every Sunday. I hope I'm not missing anything, and if I am, I apologize. I know we got so many podcasts. Mr. Silvio, what would you like to put over, sir?
Hey, one time Jay Moore commented on one of our Light the Fuse posts, and he just said, "Great episode."
Yeah.
And I didn't know if he was talking about Dynamite or our show. So
No, that's my manager, Jay Moore, the infamous Jay Moore. Not Jay Moore, the comedian, but he's as funny, if not more. But yeah,
Gotcha.
Jay Moore is like I actually want to have him on Hamin on here. He's a huge supporter. He's the one who actually helped bring me into Canada because he would hear me.
Yeah,
on
I heard he was
Russo
a
Brand.
big wrestling fan.
Yeah. Oh no, that's not the comedian Jay Moore.
Your friend.
Yeah, Jay Moore, the manager in Canada. And
Gotcha.
and you know, he knows what's going on, man. I want to have him on the platform. He pops the shit out of me. He manages Congo Kong, myself, and plenty of other top talent. So that'll be a great addition to the fam to have on here. So I got to get a hold of JC when he's free, man, for sure.
Nice. And I got to congratulate the homie before I do my plugs. I know that means a lot to you to get that ECW booking as a ECW mark. Congrats on that. You know, we both watched it growing up, so I'm glad you get that opportunity.
Appreciate it.
Good stuff, man. As for myself, I was telling the boys before we went on air, I am currently in the writing process of my second book.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be a wrestling-based book. It's going to be stories from on the road, stories from the bar, stories from my life. It's going to be 80% wrestling, 20% life. It's not a shitty autobiography. It's just funny, entertaining, or shitty stories and experiences that happen to me. So I hope you guys will pick up that book when it comes out in the next few months.
Absolutely.
I got a call in a couple hours with somebody that's helping me to build my training website that's coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. You can see me on all my social medias at the Chris Silvio. If you would like wrestling training, or if you are a wrestler that wants to learn the art of wrestling and learn how to work, visit Chris Silvio's Superstar Seminars on Facebook, or slide into those DMs and I will get you right. Oh yeah, and patreon.com/VanMuscles, Bionic Blonde, hottest woman in wrestling.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if the real Jay Moore is listening, Ben Hamin and Chris Silvio are looking for representation, show me the money. Ben, go ahead and take this away.
Yeah, I like his Christopher Walken too. So if that helps us put it over, then by all means, I will. I actually think about going back to see Rappaport because I'm a big fan of him. But I'm a big fan of my brothers here at hackerhamin.podbean.com. We're live on twitch.tv/conspiracy horseman. It's the great mind of El Sucio, keeping me and my chi the right way where I need to be balanced in the middle, the yin and yang, as the young man recharges himself. Get that Ensure in you, pal, that smart water. You're looking a little dehydrated. Here and light the fuse as we go click, click, boom, YOLO!